Good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are. Welcome back to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by the amazing Justin and Grubby. We had a little bit of time off before we got into this semifinal bracket, as we are, well, I guess it was just a week, but it still was a little bit of time off. And as always, we got to catch up with our amazing friends here. And I'm going to start with you, Grubby. How was your week off getting ready for this double elimination semifinals bracket?
I had a little bit more time off than I should have liked, as we had some internet issues. Turns out there's been an ancient cable break in our internet cable that has created unstable upload signal. Probably been there for years, as it's under a little concrete wall that maybe was made long time ago. And it's now starting to be a problem. But they made an emergency repair. Really nice. It's not ready yet, but they made an emergency over the porch repair with the cable. So that we have a stable internet connection now. So super grateful to be alive, super grateful to be casting HoTS, and to be online with the stream as well, with the cast. So we shouldn't have any internet issues. So that's what we've been going through this week. Very happy now to be online without any issues. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I already started knocking on wood for you right there, because it's just one of those things that as a streamer or content creator, it's the bane of your existence, because you just feel useless. You can't do anything. You can call and be like, hey, here's all the things, and we're like, we don't care. So either way, I'm glad that they actually care and they got that fixed up for you. But Justin, how was your week getting ready into this semifinal bracket as well?
Yeah, my week's been pretty good. I've been having a little bit more of a chill week, it sounds like, than Grubby. I fortunately haven't had any internet issues, and I've been playing pretty good amount of Heroes of the Storm, getting to try out some of the stuff from the patch. Definitely seeing a lot of like Rhaegar and Johanna bans in my own games as well, so it makes sense. Stukov's still just, I don't like playing against him, and just getting a lot of games in and feeling out how the patch feels, and it's been a lot of fun playing HoTS with some old friends again.
It's always good to play the game, and I've gotten to play a little bit myself, starting to climb a little bit more in my Storm League games as well, and it's always a bit of a grind, but it's always fun to play, as you said, Justin, with your friends. But we are here into HeroesCCL, and we can start talking about some of our prizing, some of our brackets, but let's actually get into prizing first, because we got a few things to talk about here on our prizing panel. As you can see on the left-hand side, 60% of the donations will be going to the prize pool, first place taking 35%, all the way down to 8th place, taking 5%. You can see that breakdown on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, as always, to be transparent with you, the remaining 40% will come back to Wisdom to be able to create amazing graphics, run HeroesCCL, as well as create graphics packages like you see, and also those spontaneous, stupendous is the right word I wanted to use, stupendous video transitions like that Batman one we see from time to time. But there are other things to talk about here, Grubby, because we've had a little incentive towards the end of the season for HeroesCCL, and we actually just broke another milestone. So if you could break down what this little incentive is and what it means to hit $12,000.
Yeah, if we reach 15,000 in total donations, I will grace you with my Nightingale song, my singing. It's going to be a couple of minutes of sing-song. It's a parody about Heroes of the Storm. And last week we reached 11k. I revealed the first little fact nuggets about it. It's about Illidan. Now that we've reached 12, we've unlocked the extra milestone. I'm going to say the melody is from Moana. It's the You're Welcome by Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
So it's Illidan and it's You're Welcome.
Yeah. It feels appropriate.
Well,
but of course, the lyrics are in full parody. So, but let's say the feeling of it feels appropriate for your average Illidan player. So it's going to be fun.
We'll have to definitely hit that 13k to find out what's next for that song that you can reveal for us. Because as Grubby had said, for every $1,000 mark on the way we make it to 15k, he'll reveal a little bit more and more about this song. So we know it's about Illidan. Of course, we know it's a parody song, and we know that it's to the tune of Moana, You're Welcome. So exciting stuff that we're going to have here on HeroesCCL in the future. But let's start looking at the bracket right now, the ladder bracket, actually. Let's talk about what happened last weekend, Justin. Could you break down what we saw last weekend on HeroesCCL?
So last weekend, we saw Chili Mountain go up against Granite Gaming and take them out in a 3-0. And then Storm Esports came in, took Chili Mountain out in a 3-0. And then in the same setup, had to destroy Oxygen in a 3-1. And then beat Diamond Hands in a 3-0. So Storm Esports, super strong, really dominant coming up through the gauntlet, taking out Chili Mountain, Oxygen, and Diamond Hands to get to where they are right now.
And it was not an easy road for Storm Esports, even though the record shows that they basically dropped a singular map, a little bit of a better record than Simplicity did in Season 1. It still was a hard-fought series. If you go back and watch those games, it was not like Storm just stomped their way through that gauntlet bracket. They really had to fight to make it into this double elimination. And Grubby, if you could break down this double elimination bracket and what we're going to see here today on HeroesCCL.
We're going to be seeing 2 best of 5s today. It's the winner bracket semifinals of 30k versus Storm Esports, and then Simplicity versus WildHeart. Both of the winners today will be guaranteed top 3. Yeah, not top 2, because we got a double elimination bracket. It means you got to fight a little bit harder for every spot, rather than advancing straight to the top 2. It's just top 3, because there is still a team that can come up from the lower bracket, winning all the rest of the games despite losing one, and then making it all the way to the grand finals. That's what we'll see today. 2 best of 5s, winner bracket semis. Tomorrow and the next weekend, we're finishing the whole playoff brackets. It's going to be so exciting.
We have got, oh man, that transition. We have got 3 play days of HeroesCCL left in the season. Today, obviously, tomorrow as well, as Grubby was mentioning, and then next weekend, we'll be doing the losers bracket finals and then that grand finals matchup, which is a weighted best of 7. If anyone's wondering what that means, if you, let's say 30k, they just dominate the upper portion of the double elimination bracket and they slot themselves at the end of this weekend in that grand final slot. That means that 30k will have a one game advantage in the best of 7 series, so they'll start with 1 on their record, and they'll only have to win 3 to be able to take the entire HeroesCCL Season 3. But that's for the future. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because we've got a lot happening today on HeroesCCL. Before we really start to get into the nitty-gritty, I want to shout out our amazing sponsor, Next Level Gaming. Next Level Gaming is a esports center a LAN center where you can play Heroes of the Storm among many, many other games. And they have some awesome hardware, realistically. Like, it's pretty cool stuff. They have HP Omen with Intel i7s and RTX 3090s. Those are not easy video cards to get, even since they've been out for over a year at this point. But on top of these amazing CPUs and graphics cards, they've also got some really cool monitors that you can utilize for these beasts of HP Omen. They've got a 24-inch monitor at 240 hertz, and they got a 32-inch monitor at 144 hertz. So a lot of really cool tech and machines, there we go, over at Next Level Gaming. So use !NXT in chat to find out all about them. And they do host watch parties for HeroesCCL during the weekend. So if you live in the Miami area and you want to go hang out and watch some HeroesCCL, it's a great place to do it. So we thank Next Level Gaming for joining us for the season. And before we get into these rosters, I want to do one more thing. I want to also hit on the award show that's coming up for HeroesCCL Season 3. We are doing an award show on January 29th. At our normal HeroesCCL start time, but the big thing for you in chat is I want you to hit !awards to be able to vote on the nominated categories and plays. You don't need to sit there and search for the play of the game. It's all there. All you have to do is you have to go into the forum, click a bunch of buttons, and then hit submit. It's really easy. It takes a couple minutes, and, well, you know what? While you listen to us talk about these rosters, maybe that's a good time for you to start filling out that nomination, because we can start diving into the 30k roster and start breaking down these teams as we're getting ready for our first best of 5 of the day. And now, Grubby, who are we going to see on that 30k side?
Yeah, it's the illustrious members of 30k, Bad Benny, Dino, HoTS, Liam/Vespertine, we'll be calling him Liam as he goes by now, Yasuo OTP, and maybe, when needed, Nagrom. Dino has been bringing a lot of expertise on the ranged assassin role. He joined a little bit later, and he's been often seen in the side lane, getting value, understanding the game on a macro level and on a micro level, and knowing how to push when the enemy team has to deal with something else. Liam is known for his fantastic Yrel, HoTS for his flexibility, Yasu for his Lucio, Bad Benny. His favorite tank is Varian, but he's proficient in many.
Yeah, we've actually seen quite a bit of Blaze play from the side of 30k, but we can talk actually about the Storm Esports roster here, Justin, because they made it through the gauntlet, and they are quite a creature that has come out of said gauntlet.
Yeah, Storm Esports is the creature that 30k is unfortunately going to be running into at the beginning of the match. Based off of the gauntlet performance, they completely crushed the gauntlet. We have BBJ playing support, Dequaza playing offlane, IBTings is the ranged, Lauber is their tank, and Rutzo is the flex. And CPX is the Nova player for the team. So this is a roster that's really strong, really scary individually. They have 5 members that are competing for that best-in-slot role in their respective positions. Dayquaza in particular last weekend just really showed up through the gauntlet. All throughout, he got probably more value on an offlane than I've seen pretty much any offlane player manage to get at any point during the season so far. So all the players super strong, but Dayquaza is one I'm definitely going to be watching out for.
I was watching back some of those games getting ready for today, and I absolutely agree with you. Dayquaza has such a strong knowledge and just overall kind of awareness for his solo lane, where he needs to be, when he needs to rotate in. So it's really cool. But we can actually start to evolve this conversation a little bit further because we know where we're going to for map number 1. Now, I do apologize. Last weekend I did misspeak, and it is going to be this weekend where the teams do not have coin flip. The higher seeded team, being 30K, will be choosing map pick, which is kind of interesting to me, rather than first pick, and they are going to choose to ban out Tomb of the Spider Queen. Members of Storm Esports will ban out Sky Temple, and 30K has chosen to take us to Towers of Doom to kick things off. But when we look at the record, it kind of indicates why they maybe wanted to go here, Justin, because when we look at the record for 30K, they are 5-1 on Towers of Doom, and the side of Storm Esports are 2-3, 2 wins, 3 losses. And so I wonder, Justin, is the 30K roster, they want to come out kind of, aggressive onto Towers of Doom? Sort of, do you think they have sort of like a game plan already before we've even gotten into the draft, as we actually just loaded in?
So 30K has had a lot of time to prepare for this. They got to watch every single match Storm played all throughout the gauntlet, so that gives them a big upper hand in terms of they haven't really shown their cards because they haven't had to play in a while. They didn't have to play in the gauntlet, being first seed. And so being able to see everything that Storm has been doing is definitely going to be advantageous for them. I'm expecting that they've studied that quite a bit, and they're going to have a really good fleshed out strategy in the draft coming out up against Storm Esports. And it is also a comfort map for them, like you mentioned, with their really good win rate on the map. So it's just a good way to start the series off if you're 30K. It's nice to get that momentum off the bat.
Oh, well, we're going to be seeing once again, for anyone that's wondering, because I am keeping track of this, that was the 18th Junkrat ban from the side of Storm Esports here, Grubby. Really don't want to play against that here, and we did actually see it quite a bit last weekend, but a first pick Joanna doesn't show much, but it's a strong start.
Yeah, Joanna, Rhaegar, some of the highest win rates in Storm League, with Rhaegar topping that list. But we did see an example in the first round of the playoffs last weekend, where Chili Mountain was unable to win, even though they had Johanna, Rhaegar, and the Haka, and Hanzo, all top picks, just because it kind of didn't form maybe a complete cohesive draft idea. And that's still important. You still need engage, you still need disengage, macro game, you need pushing ability, global power, XP soaking. All these things still matter, and Johanna, Rhaegar do a fantastic job of securing some of these objectives, but they don't have the strongest engage per se. So it can still feel weaker, and you can try to fill the draft with some actual purpose, so that you know what your team is supposed to be doing.
And it's a good direction for both these teams at the start. And Justin, I can kind of see some of the pieces kind of formulating over there. And I was curious if you have any sort of thoughts as to the bans or even just what we could see in the evolution of the draft.
So it's interesting to see Storm Esports take Falstad Brightwing. They kind of just lock up the globals that are available with the Haka being banned by 30K. They feel a little bit threatened on that, not having enough macro. So they take Falstad and Brightwing, so they have the double global. Most likely we won't be seeing any globals coming out from the side of 30K unless they play an ETC that we haven't seen yet. And something that's interesting and that I like that Storm did is that they are picking their support and this ranged flex with the Falstad, so that they have the option to flex the Johanna into either main tank or offlane, depending on what the next pick's coming out from 30K are. 30K did draft Rhaegar Blaze very quickly, so like I mentioned, they've definitely been practicing their draft strategies for this for quite a while.
Ooh, Diablo Hanzo. There's actually a really good combination for maybe like a Leyline Apocalypse, and I wonder, maybe we see this Medivh coming out from the side of 30K, Grubby?
It is possible. It would leave their damage point a little bit unreliable. I think if you have Hanzo, Medivh, it's hard to get a kill. I would love to see actually a mage here, or maybe a mage coming out. You could do an auto attacker. It can be a little tougher into Johanna because of blinds. Perhaps something like a Sylvanas could be fairly reliable and useful.
I got a question about Sylvanas, but and hey, there it is, and we can talk about the question a little bit later because we only have Justin for a few more moments as we're going to be loading into Towers of Doom here, and I do need to get Justin's thoughts, analysis, and breakdown for both these drafts as we're getting into, man, we're here in double elimination, and we're getting into our first map in our first best of 5 series. So Justin, please take it away and break everything down for us.
So the main thing that I see kind of coming into play with the team fights for this game is the Tychus and Falstad have quite a bit shorter range in general than Hanzo Sylvanas, especially if Sylvanas takes the E talent where she's just throwing her E's at you for damage. They do have the Johanna and they have Leoric, so their front line is really beefy, so it might be a little bit difficult for Hanzo and Sylvanas to actually chew through a Johanna and Leoric, which is good for Leoric, because when you're Leoric, you really don't want to play into double-ranged like Tychus that can really shred you quite easily. Hanzo Sylvanas, the damage is a little bit slower. I would say overall, the macro for Storm looks a little bit better, but we are on Towers of Doom, so outside of playing around the objective phase, the globals shouldn't really get too much value. I'd like to see Ibitings maybe do some split pushing as much as possible through the early game, because I don't expect too much fighting to really happen early on. When you have an early game Diablo, you don't really get a ton of value, especially when you're up against things like Tychus that really counter you with that % damage against his HP pool and lacking any real mobility or escapes. So both drafts definitely winnable. I don't think either team got a huge win in the draft. They do have the cool Entomb Gust combo at level 20, so if things do get to level 20, I would say Storm Esports is in quite a bit better position where they have the Johanna Falling Sword, they have the Wind Tunnel on Falstad, they have the Buried Alive on Leoric. So I think 30k is going to have to kind of snowball the game through the mid-game between maybe levels 13 and 16 and get some kind of shot advantage, because at level 20 things might get a little bit rough for the side of 30k.
Well, 30k must hold strong here as we're just about to load into Towers of Doom. And it is actually really tough to call this because as the draft was evolving, I was like, man, Storm, they have their Blaze. Like, Blaze right now for Storm Esports record-wise is 7-1, 7 wins, 1 loss. And that's not, like, that's a hard thing to overlook. And also, it's Liam. Liam on almost any solo laner has always looked good, but earlier we were singing the praises of Dakeplaza, so this is actually going to be a titanic matchup in just the solo lane, and I hope we get to peek into that from time to time, because we are ready, and we have loaded into map number 1, and let's go ahead and jump on in, because we have this ready to go. Thank you, Justin, for your analysis, as always, and we are here. Let's introduce these teams. We got Yasu on the Rhaegar, Bad Benny on the Diablo, Hazuobs to play the Hanzo, Liam, as I had mentioned, on the Blaze, and Dinah will play the Sylvanas. Over in the red, we are looking at Storm Esports. We're going to be seeing Daquaz on the Leoric, Rutso on the Tychus, Lauber to play the Joanna. We'll be having BBJ on the Brightwing, and this is going to be Ibitings on the Falstad. Now, Grubby, I think you've gotten to hear a lot of what Justin and I think, as I'm leaning into a Storm Esports win, but what are your thoughts on the draft and potential outcome for Towers of Doom Map 1?
Yeah, I think Storm really impressed during the Gauntlet run, and I think 30k, we haven't seen him in a while, and that makes me nervous, but I remember 30k was playing real well. They've got a draft that gives them every possibility. I'm going to go with 30k here, as I think they definitely have what it takes to make this work.
Alrighty, well, we're gonna a little split on this one, but still that makes for a little more fun as Diablo. Bad Benny goes in, a lot of damage onto BBJ, and First Blood goes over to the side of 30k as they actually find second kill. It's gonna be a double kill for the side of 30k, quickly and effectively shutting down Storm Esports in what should have been a simple rotation to bottom lane.
Yeah, pretty classical move there, right? Bad Benny was actually showing in broad daylight, his whole team behind him. They cleared faster, and Sylvanas Rhaegar have really good wave clear. Hanzo not so much, but Sylvanas Rhaegar more than enough. They get the initial rotation. Here you have a global team that doesn't have an actual mount, Brightwing and Falstad, nor do they have an escape. At least Brightwing doesn't, not yet. You see the Diablo, you still try to brute force a team that isn't actually not allowed to rotate into Diablo like that. Conversely, Johanna cannot pin someone into a wall for long enough for Tychus to kill a Hanzo. So this only goes one way. It's a one-way street. And it was always going to end like that if a team like that tries to rotate into Diablo, Hanzo, Sylvanas, Rhaegar. So a classical kill. Storm not quite waking up into the match just yet, gotta say here.
Storm definitely needs to get that shot of espresso drank real quick because they need to wake up. It's a best of 5 series, and granted, it is a best of 5 in a double elimination, so if you lose this best of 5, you still have second tournament life through that lower bracket. But I mean, no one wants that. You want to run through the upper bracket, you want to get that extra point for the best of 7 grand finals next weekend, and you want to sit comfortable watching everyone else struggle through the bottom. But that's not the case right now for 30K. Even though Bad Benny's dropping a little low, he is going to be able to get some good healing out from Rhaegar. And this also, keep in mind, we don't see this very often. I actually see Justin talking about this, and I'm sure you can break it down further after the game. We got Devil's Due for the Diablo. A lot more sustainability with his increased healing effects from regeneration globes and fountains by 2.25% per soul.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I'm going to explain you exactly why I believe this is the correct choice here as well. As the action kind of slows down, and we can be sure we don't miss a kill mid-analysis. Okay, here's the reason. Diablo's got 3 choices. All of them offer survivability of some form. There's one that offers you a percentage healing when you get a successful stun. That is less likely to happen because both frontliners have cleansed on themselves, Janna and Leoric. So it's hard for him to get a stun in a pinch when he needs it. And you see that Diablo just now got a stun, but he didn't need the healing.
Yeah.
So you can see how it's not really very relevant sometimes or applicable for him to get that healing when he needs it.
Yep.
Devil's Due is the Storm League choice. Normally, what we see often, as we kind of hold that thought, we can see is Bad Bunny bite off more than he could chew.
Nah.
The other popular talent is the Spell Shield. And
Soul
Spell
Shield,
Shield is ignored by Tyke's minigun and by Leoric's Drain.
No,
As
it's
damage passes through. So yeah, those are all a little bit less good. Instead, he gets Devil's Due, bonus healing from fountains and globes, of which there are plenty on this map. They're always in short range. So yeah, he's going to be able to make use on Towers of Doom of fountains all game long, as they actually respawn after dying, unlike on every other map. Smart choice.
And it's that Feast on Fears you were mentioning with the stun. I mean, we've only seen, I'm trying to count them, like maybe 2 to 3 stuns so far into a wall from Bad Benny, but as you've pointed out very well, Grubby, Bad Benny hasn't really been struggling in his health pool either, so I love this pickup from Devil's Due, and we'll see how it works out for the game as it does progress. But just a little bit of a talent discussion, as we do have some standard rotations at the beginning of Towers of Doom. We are going to see 8 shots go into the core of Storm Esports, and 30K will take only 4 damage in that trade, as we typically have the top left and right trade out between the solo laners. The big contest is over the bottom lane, and really it seemed like Bad Benny had zoned out Storm Esports extremely well. And I like what HazuObs is doing very often here, using that Sonic Arrow to almost kind of threaten, like, hey, we're around here. Like, we're not gonna, we're using it for our own vision on the side of 30K, but that's also kind of saying, like, Bad Benny could have come out of the shadows and get a nice big shadow charge and set something up as HazuObs is landing so much good damage, forces the phase shift from Brightwing. BBJ able to buff out Lobber's HP. Unfortunately, Liam cannot land the Jet Propulsion, as Grubby is a little sad.
Yeah, Blaze was setting up for the big follow-up there. Very nice rotation, actually, but a little bit too far back. Hanzo has stacked that W very quickly. He was hitting the full 6-man scatters. 6 scatter shots into Johanna as well as she was running away. Kind of a tough angle. I was looking whether he was going to get it, and he did. Very, very nice damage coming out from him here.
Rutso getting very low, so is HazuObs, forced to use the agility over the wall, but there's going to be a nice dive in from Diablo, and a third kill goes over the side of 30K, and that is going to be the Tychus going down. But while all that was happening, Leoric was able to get the channel on the mid-altar area, and that is going to be 4 shots into the 30K core, still 4 shots into Storm Esports as we sit 32 to 28, and the experience differential is starting to show in favor for 30K with these couple kills, and I really think that it's mostly just kills, and maybe a little bit of structural experience as well. Yeah, it's a little bit of experience from structures, but all of this gain is through the couple heroic kills early game.
Yeah, exactly. And Bad Benny keeps finding targets. This time he may have actually just gone a little far, but he gets saved by several heroics of his team as well. Always a bit of a risk using your heroics early before the enemy team gets them. If you don't get result out of it, then you'll actually fight 11v10 with the disadvantage, because now your opponent has all their cooldowns available. But they got paid off. 1 more kill, rest of the wall. Nice job there. 70-second cooldown, Apocalypse.
And just like Bad Benny floating around, he does have full souls on this Diablo, skimming through some of the questing talents. HazuObs has already finished out his level 1, as Grubby had mentioned. And Diablo, I love this. He's actually waiting for the Wraith Walk to end so Bad Benny can set up the gank. It's rare when you see a Diablo gank rotation into top lane. And I'm liking how, and I think I've said this about a lot of teams, but 30K, they are just embodying this entire map. They are saying we are everywhere, and also nowhere at the same time, because it's like, well, they're not showing a map. Like, I peeked at map, Bad Benny wasn't showing, but it's like, oh, the tank won't be up here in top lane. They're not going to try and gank me, little Leoric, and lo and behold, there it is. But single altar phase for the bottom coming up here, Grubby.
Yeah, Bad Bunny is absolutely wrecking. I'm actually getting this thought of a Diablo 2 game where Diablo was actually able to roam through all the levels. Like, imagine if he's not just in the final act or in the fourth act,
yeah,
the final boss, but he could actually like come to the rogue encampment and stuff and just shadow charge you out of nowhere all the time. That's what Bad Bunny feels like he's doing here. Being in lanes where he's not expected. Not even death can save you from me. He's just like charging you in like places where he's not supposed to be, the Maggot Queen lair and stuff. Pretty sick, but he's been getting results, man.
I like the idea of doing just tunnel or dungeons, and he just pops out of nowhere. Lobber will get the cleanse out from the Brightwing. This is going to be Commandeer Odin from Retzo expiring right now. 13 talent here, soon to be in favor for 30k, and I think 30k is fine with kind of delaying out this objective. They got a few ways to stall out any sort of channeling, and Diablo actually getting very low. Polymorph will be coming through. There's going to be an Apocalypse from the Diablo being utilized. Falling Sword from the Johanna will not save this Falstad. The Jet Propulsion might have been the big save for Bad Benny, as he's able to Fire Stomp and back away. That Jet Propulsion with the AoE stun really helping out 30k. The objective phase still not channeled. 14 seconds on Falstad. He will be able to fly back in. Polymorph once again onto the Diablo. Leoric is going to be the target. He will go down. Now Lobber, on an island by himself, has to pop the Iron Skin. Rhaegar coming around the corner. Does he have any sort of slowing totems? He's actually going to be the one slowed Yasu, but Dino gets the channel, and 13 talent here, double kill, and 7-0 in kills. 30k are rolling through Towers of Doom. As they, and I mentioned beforehand, they are 5-1 on this map record-wise, and it's showing now.
Yeah, so sick. Knowing exactly the kind of team they need to draft to control the rotations, get ahead in both points and level. We've seen a lot of imbalanced games on Towers of Doom recently, where one team gets all the core shots, the other team is holding out for level 20, late game advantage. Or sometimes you have one team gets the core shots, the other team gets the experience. You often see this imbalance when there's a Vikings or an Abathur on the team. But in this case, we've got 30k winning in every way. Now, do keep in mind our analysts' prophetic words. 30k needs to gnaw away at a mid-game advantage in order to prevent themselves from falling prey to a battle on equal terms at level 20. As Storm's level 20 is fairly gnarly, with Leoric level 20, Johanna 20 being so good. Got that ranged mosh pit, Mighty Wind Tunnel from Falstad. Mm-hmm. So this is on par for 30k. Maybe a little bit over par, but they did need to be ahead here, according to Justin, our analyst.
And they are going to go ahead and take note of that and start working on this boss. Now, boss here is not a win condition, it's not a loss condition, but what it does do, well, it takes 4 more HP off of Storm Esports core, and that's going to be 32-20 as we have a double altar phase coming up next. The expectation is for these to be traded. I don't think 30k goes for the invade, unless they can get 16s within the next, 10 seconds, but I don't see that happening without multi-kills. But let's see what really unfolds here, Grubby, as there's a little bit of slowing in the rotations to these objectives, but we also have our solo laners already on them trading.
Yeah, did you see how scared they are every time of Bad Benny now in that wall?
Oh, yeah. Like, I was like, that's a random apocalypse. No, it was an apocalypse to try and gank the Brightwing. Didn't work out. Here comes an arrow. Falstad barrel rolls away, just creating a little bit of space. Blaze rotating in. The fight continues. Jet Propulsion coming in. Great gust from IB Tings to push back the Jet Propulsion from Blaze.
Yeah, the advancing team of 30k stopped in their tracks. Storm did use multiple resources. It's a very quick thing happening there. Oh, that's a lovely silence arrow by Dino, preventing the use of Iron Skin. Johanna absolutely intending to use that there. Lobber couldn't press the button as he got silenced into the stun. Diablo going in on Leoric. Can Diablo kill Leoric? He can? Wow. And meanwhile, the rest of his team knows exactly what to do as well. They're trying to get so many kills. Brightwing does shift out of existence, but 30k is absolutely laying down the hammer. Sick.
Malevolence level 7 from Diablo. The basic attack, basic abilities cause Diablo's next basic attack within 6 seconds to deal an additional 187 spell damage. Stores up to 2 charges. Very interesting. And I know I was peeking over. Justin has some thoughts on the Bad Benny build, and we'll definitely get them after this game. But it is looking very strong for 30k right now, and It's going to be a triple altar phase. We've got sappers in the bottom lane. This potentially could be game ending. Granted, of course, you have to get all 3 altars and the sappers have to go, and we can already see Tychus and Leoric looking to clear out bottom lane, but I expect at least 2 of these altars to go over 30k. They could maybe aggress to the top right, but with the positioning on the map, I don't expect that to happen here.
Yeah, just really good zoning protection still here on the bottom fort, which is also the reason they probably can't get to the top right, like he said. Meanwhile, it doesn't mean that Bad Benny isn't going to create a bit of space here. Get his souls up, he's at 100 souls. Actually, that was his level 13 armor debuff charge. Now, this feels iffy. Mostly Storm is just trying to slow down the game. They can't hope to steal this under these conditions.
Wow.
And it goes horribly wrong, right? But they were hoping to buy enough time for Brightwing to get the sappers stopped, for them to get 16. Not even to steal the altar. They're trying to slow down the game and hoping that every next objective is slower, so that they can get their 20 before, before the core drops to 0. But it goes wrong again. 30k able to get the most out of every little mini skirmish.
Yeah.
Even fights where Storm tries to position non-aggressively-ish, tries to not engage. Open war is upon us, whether they will it or not.
It's like 30k is just speeding through down the highway and it's Storm Esports. They're just trying to throw out spiked strips or car blockades. They're trying to do anything to slow down 30k, and they just can't. Like, it is fast and furious from the side of 30k, and they are definitely running this as a strong family.
Yeah, this is, family is everything in moments like these. And if you can get the whole club to level 20, well, we'll see if that's thicker than whatever 30k is bringing here.
Just some casual Fast and Furious references for you all. Nido will be able to lock down the mid tower. This is, I think, more or less just a pull Storm Esports into mid lane looking for the fight. Because look at Bad Benny and Liam on the Blaze Diablo. They were setting up, and Dayquaza utilizing the Spectral Leech to try and check the bush, and does see Liam, who sidesteps said Spectral Leech, but this is super risky. Oh, that's a huge arrow. That's a jet propulsion. That's an apocalypse. That is a 1-2 kill. Make it 3 under Rutso, as this also will be Lobber falling on top of that. Leoric, he will be able to back away, but this is going to be an objective phase easily handed to the side of 30k. I'll be honest, I'm not sure why they would go for that right there, and I agree, Grubby.
I can tell you why. I can tell you why. Johanna went to backdoor the minion wave behind that fort, and this is all about doing the unexpected. We are in an avalanche cascade down the mountain, and there's no stopping this unless we do something very unexpected. So they try to backdoor that fort, looking for anyone that might be trying to seek refuge behind that fort, just hoping to get a single kill. That's what Storm is doing there. The moment that they saw that fort was unprotected, they just kind of went on mental block. They kind of went on a situation where they say, well, we're here already, might as well just take down the fort. Absolutely, they don't believe that this has a fantastic chance of working, but they knew that the writing was on the wall. They knew they were losing, so they're just trying to do something dumb, which is better than to do nothing at all. Then they got hit by a Dark Horu moment.
Oh, that was a beautifully layered heroic combo from the Hanzo arrow to the Apocalypse, with Liam with the extra stun duration with the jet propulsion as well. Beautifully played from the side of 30k, but of course, we got to get Justing back in here to break down things a little bit further, maybe even catching some of the stuff that Grubby and I might have missed.
Yeah, that was just dominance from start to finish for the side of 30k. I'm really impressed with their understanding of win conditions. I'd mentioned when we saw the draft that the level 20 for Storm Esports was super strong, and so they were going to be looking to try to snowball the game between level 13 and 16, and they really did that. It was pretty close in shots at the early game. It was around 32 to 28, and that's when things started to really turn around for 30k, and where Storm just started falling super far behind. I haven't really seen a team understand win conditions on that level like 30k did. They were really aggressive out the gates. The Diablo, Bad Benny, went a very weird build. He went a full damage build, and normally I would really not like that, but in this situation, he actually made it work because their plan was to snowball the game early and win before level 20. That's very hard to do on pretty much every map besides Towers of Doom. Since the XP changes, Towers of Doom is the last map that didn't really get changed at all by that. So it's cool to see them understand that, realize we're on Towers of Doom, we do have the opportunity to end before level 20 if we get ahead enough. Bad Benny willing to take the risk in going for this risky damage-focused Diablo build. and it really paid off. I will say, I think part of the reason Bad Benny was able to have such a standout performance was partially due to the fact that Rutzo went bigger they are on Tychus. That is a good talent to get a Diablo low, but they don't necessarily have any good way to finish the Diablo off once he gets low. All they really have is Falstad, and it takes Falstad quite a while, especially early on, to do that final percentage of HP that is needed. The bigger they are can get the Diablo a little low, but Falstad's really not what you want to be finishing those kills. So Bad Benny, you could tell he felt pretty invincible, especially with the Devil's Due. I love seeing the Devil's Due, by the way. And this last moment I have to highlight, that was just Storm being desperate. They knew that they weren't going to get level 20 before the next objective, and they knew that 30k could easily stall for that, so they're just really desperate, trying to get anything they possibly can. 30k instantly punishes it with the cross-map arrow into the APOC, perfect combo coming out from 30k. And just really impressive to see a team actually take their advantage between level 12 and they were level 12 and 11, and it was 32 to 28 shots, and they snowballed the game from there to 25 to 0 shots. They only lost 7 more shots between level 13 and when the game ended. So just really impressive all around by 30k, looking incredibly strong.
30k, and I think you nailed the concept. They understood win conditions. And I think in a lot of games that we play, even in our own games, we're just like, okay, there's 4 dead, let's go core sort of deal. And it's just like 30k just knew how to constantly keep the pressure onto Storm Esports, and that pressure will continue because we know exactly where we're going to go to from map number 2. And this is actually really exciting here, Grubby and Justin, because we are going to be heading to Dragonshire. And when I look back at records, I had mentioned this at the start of the day, we have never seen Storm Esports play Dragonshire, so we have no data on this team whatsoever, and 30k has played this map once, and they won it in that one time. So exciting stuff as we're getting ready for Dragonshire. I really, really like this. Storm Esports, as a reminder, as the losing team, they could choose first pick or map pick, opting for first pick here. So 30k, they got some sort of plan, some sort of play here, Grubby, and it seems like, at least from their playbook side, 30k are just checking boxes and moving along through this best of 5 series.
Yeah, I guess that game really answers whether 30k is going to come out of their a little bit longer period of not seeing play in CCL, if they're going to come out strong. And the answer is yes. Yes, they are. Our number 1 team in the league with the best score has started off very strong in playoff weekend.
So actually, we have this moment while we're waiting for some bans and stuff to come through, and I had this question actually. It was actually emailed to me over the week, and so I wanted to bring it up on broadcast because there's a lot of there's been a bit of priority onto Sylvanas. It's not super high, but we actually saw it in that last game, and she doesn't have the best record. So, Justin, I want to start with you. Like, what does Sylvanas bring to the table outside of what maybe like some sort of other range assassin can bring? Is it just her heroics? Is it her trait? Like, could you elaborate on like why Sylvanas, even though she doesn't have the best win record, is still highly contested or at least considered in a lot of these drafts?
So the trait mostly just feels like a bonus on most maps. Obviously, on Towers of Doom, there's no objective to push with, so it doesn't really get any extra value like it might on Infernal Shrines if you had a Punisher, for example.
Okay.
But it's mainly just that she's a really well-rounded ranged, and both of her heroic abilities are quite strong. You have kind of the safest range that can kind of play at this weird in-between range of being close range, where you're doing a lot of damage and stacking your passive up, or playing at kind of far range and being a little bit more safe, just chucking out W's and throwing out your Banshees on your E. So she's just the most well-rounded, I would say. She has burst damage, she has sustained damage, she gets CC with her level 10. I think one thing that might play a small part in the win rate, if it is that low, would be the difference between Silence Arrow and Mind Control.
Okay.
Mind Control, in my opinion, is almost always the better ultimate choice now. It just feels like it does more in the current meta. It feels like it gets more value most of the time. That game we saw the Silence Arrow getting value, but it was still typically used on only 1 or 2 members unless there was set up from a huge combo beforehand. So it's mostly just that she's really well-rounded, really safe with the Unstoppables, and her ults are just really strong as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's just someone brought it up in an email to me, and I was like, you know what? This is a good topic for our draft discussions, and we've actually had a lot of draft unfold, so let's actually jump back into this Dragonshire draft. And Grubby, any thoughts on bans, picks, the whole shebang?
We gotta look at the pick of Rutzo. He's bringing out his Zarya. It's been counterbanned against Storm sometimes, and oftentimes it will be used to enable a Vala. This might be a pick that 30k wants to ban away here, as she's one of the primary enabled heroes by the enabling that Zarya does. But he makes Zarya work pretty much in many different situations. We could see like a Grey Main coming out, First Bullet, Taunt, Zarya combo could be quite nice. Of course, we need an off lane that's usually melee. So maybe Ivy thinks is not going to go Grey Main, rather something ranged. Could be Li Ming. Might even be Tychus.
Okay.
Not like Tychus firing quite good together, but super cool to see Zarya coming out. Pretty much one of 2-3 guys that plays her, and most people agree he's the very best at it. So if you want to learn how to play Zarya, watch him closely.
And it's always like I look at this draft already, and we haven't even gone through it. I'm like, man, it's hard to vote against Storm Esports whenever they get Zarya in general. I do like the ban onto the Fala, because last weekend, in the first couple maps that Storm Esports did play in the Gauntlet, Ivy Tings was just popping off on his Vala play. Just positioning was amazing, and overall control and damage was great. But speaking of control, Justing, we have got a tried and true, I'm killing them all, I'm in the backline. We got Liam Zurel coming in for the side of 30k. That's a big pickup.
Yeah, Liam Urel always scary, and I would say that with Rutzo Zarya being scary as well, the map is really where I'm kind of finding the big difference here. On Dragonshire, Urel gets a lot more value than Zarya does. Zarya typically wants to be grouped up with 3 or 4 members, just sieging a lane, and that's very difficult to do on Dragonshire, whereas Urel, very self-reliant, she's kind of just a walking juggernaut, just walking around, taking on anyone who wants to fight her. She can pretty much 1v1 any hero on the enemy side. So I think it's a very different dynamic. Something also with them picking the Zarya is they don't really have a lot of wave clear. So it's going to be a little bit difficult, I think, for them to really get value with that pick.
It is a very interesting draft from both sides, and there's the Sylvanas once again. So maybe Dino has something to prove here, but it's a really great draft from both sides. A lot of damage over time between Lunara, Sylvanas. Decker Kane's potions are great. I like the 30k draft. I can see how Storm Esports could win this, but before I let Grubby break things down further, I gotta get Justing to just kind of take your overall vision of this of these two drafts.
So Storm Esports comp is a little bit weird for me. They have the Varian, which typically pick comps do the best on Dragonshire. Pick comps in general are just the strongest playstyle here, because if you're able to get the mid priority by pushing the mid wave out, you can then kind of be anywhere on the map, and there's always this constant threat of, oh no, where is Varian? Varian's going to come out of the bush and one-shot me with his taunt. But they don't really have follow-up or setup for that with their composition. They don't have great wave clear. Typically you want one member who has really strong wave clear to clear mid for your team, or you need to have your whole team be there. And if you have your whole team be there, you're going to be losing out on getting the shrines top and bottom. And that kind of creates an awkward situation where, well, you did clear mid, you're kind of stuck mid now because the enemy team can control both shrines on Dragonshire. So I'm not completely understanding what Storm's comp does. It's a little bit disjointed, in my opinion. They have Hanzo and Zarya that are kind of just good sustained damage dealers that like to siege and kind of just sit in the lane, but on Dragonshire, there's a lot of rotations happening. It doesn't really synergize with the Varian. The only thing I do see potentially being a problem is Deckard not being able to save people from the taunts in the real late game. But 30k's composition to me just looks a lot more well-rounded for the map.
Well, we'll see if that's going to be the case here, Justing. Thank you as always for your analytics and your breakdown, as we are here into Dragonshire, and we have got 30k in the blue. Urel to be played by Liam, Bad Benny on the Joanna, Hazuabs on the Lunara, Dino once again on the Sylvanas, and Yasu on the Deckard. Over in the red, we're looking at Storm Esports. We got BBJ on the Rhaegar, Ivy Tings on the Hanzo, Rutzo on his Zarya, Lauber to play the Varian, and Dequaz on the Hogger. Dequaza does have a really good Hogger, Grubby. It's hard for me to kind of look at the two drafts and be like, yes, I see exactly what 30k wants to do. Or excuse me, Storm, what they exactly want to do. And I'm right there with Justing. I need this draft to be proven to me, but I'm going to lean into 30k for this one, as I also like just how much damage aggression they can provide. What are your thoughts as we get a little bit of a mid lane skirmish to kick things off?
Same thoughts here. About that, I think that disjointed is the right word most likely for Storm's draft. Just generally strong picks together. All 5 heroes strong together, strong by themselves, strong by the people that are playing them, but a little bit harder to see the strategy of play. But let's see how it plays out. Practice always is going to be the key here, not just the theory. Cool draft talent choice by Yasu there at level 1. Talent pick. I mean, he's gone for the spell power when hitting Scroll of Sealing, not going with his own Sapphire. He's going to rely entirely on Johanna's Condemn and potentially level 4 bonus slow to get people together, to get them slow, to get them to stay inside the scroll ceiling, and then that extra spell power that's going to make him have 16 seconds of spell power that will allow him to drop bigger potions, more damaging next scroll ceiling, more damaging cube. Deckard doesn't have a lot of uses for spell power offensively, as the way that he gets it is with the very spell that does the most damage, so it's going to take him a while to make use of it. But just being able to drop much larger potions from the early game is actually a really good aid, not just to his healing output, but indeed his mana. Level 1 to 10, Deckard is really, really mana hungry.
Yes.
And this one helps him so much to not need to spend as much just for regular sustain heals.
It also, oh, that was a really nice interrupt onto Rutzer right now. Another one will be coming out as well with that scrollless ceiling. Dino and Liam trying to regain control of top, and they will be able to do so. Little fun fact on that level 1 for Deckard Cain, if he has a potion out and he does hit that scrollless ceiling, that 16-second window with the spell power being increased by 20% up to 40% will apply to the potions already on the ground. It was a change made a long time ago, and it was something that I was streaming at one point. I was just like, hey chat, does this do this? And they're like, yes, it actually does. So it was a really cool, it's actually a big note as well, because I think some people might look at it and be like, okay, you have 16 seconds to throw out the potion, they have to pick it up, and no, it applies to what's out already still. So if you go the greater potions as well, you can even amplify those further, but we'll see what he goes into, because there's, Scroll of Stone Ceiling, I believe is the talent, where if you hit 2 enemies with with the triangle, you get like 200% damage or something crazy. So that could also it's extra. Yeah, it's a really cool talent, and I've stupidly died to it before, and I'm just like, what the heck killed me? And then I look at it's like, oh, the old man got his revenge. Okay, all right.
Yeah, like a 600 damage scroll ceiling or something. Like, how much does it do right now? 190. Yeah, it's gonna do like 700-800 damage if you don't take the level 1 stacking damage, which honestly is a little lackluster. It's hard to really stack unless you're coordinated with your tank.
Yep.
But yeah, you can just do 700-800 damage with Deckard's scroll. It's pretty solid. Usually though, in CCL we see the Horadric Staff, the melee bonky bonk that does the stun on someone that dares to get near the old man. Quite useful to protect himself.
And in top lane, we're seeing a hard push through this lane with the help of Sylvanas locking down the towers. But in bottom lane, there's going to be a quick response from Storm Esports, who are going to be having the Bruiser camp as well as the entire front gate falling. So I got to say, Storm Esports with the stronger defense through top, but can 30k leverage a kill right now? It seems like Storm are operating a little bit safer. Maybe this is going to be the Joanna's slowing down the pace, whereas Diablo is just constantly bringing the fight into Storm Esports' faces. We do have another Dragonite potential to the side of Storm Esports. Ivy Ting's getting some scatters here, and there's 17 out of the 20 stacks necessary. Varian, he does have that Lion's Fang at level 1, Lion's Maw at 8 out of the 25. Roderick Cube just try and stop BBJ from channeling, but it doesn't matter because BBJ actually leaves the point, and Storm Esports will find their first blood in this entire series.
Yeah, so Hogger just left Yrel to it, left top lane, left the minions that were there available just now, just to get that chance to kind of be that deciding factor in the fight, and it absolutely was. And I think it's smart because Varian wants to get a couple of kills before level 10, he's the only one that has taunt already, and it was exactly Hogger's stun that was required in order to finish off that Sylvanas there, or she would have been able to Haunting Wave away already, so nice job. Doesn't really translate to a massive XP advantage, but it's enough to matter. It's enough to get your level 10s seconds earlier.
Yep, and that seconds could be the difference for the solo lane. Actually, as we look in the solo lane, Sylvanas is going to be taking control of that top lane, while Liam bonks around Varian through the mid. We have top lane going over, actually both Sun and Moon Altars going over to the side of 30k, but still BBJ and Storm Esports, they're still on this map, and they're still able to deny, as well as get their own Moon Shrine in the bottom lane. Varian, Lobber coming in, Taunt will be there. Bad Benny going to try and slow down any sort of incoming damage with the Shield Glare as well as the Condemn. Doing a great job, but Bad Benny's starting to get scarcely low. Oh, the Expulsion Zone! It actually saves Bad Benny. The Expulsion Zone bops him out of the incoming arrow from Ivy Ting's. A little bit of a misplay right there, and a lost kill, I would say, from the Expulsion Zone.
Yeah, it's unlucky, right? Like,
yes.
He probably couldn't really see it as a misplay. It's just unlucky. Both of them were potentially kill moves in his mind. But what maybe they didn't know or didn't anticipate or couldn't, Deckard was 40% on his scroll of healing throughout all that. He had 40% spell power.
Yes.
And he was hitting 80% of his potions into Johanna practically immediately. Then there's the shielding from the level 4. Altogether, that was what kept Johanna alive until her next unstoppable. So already paying dividends there. Now, you don't know how it would have gone if he had Sapphire. Maybe he would have slowed them. But that was a lot of extra healing, and she would have died without it here in this isolated case.
And when we look at the talents for the side of 30k, we're actually going to be seeing some safer talents, for the Lunara at least, on the Thornwood Vines, but that plays extremely well into the level 1 and level 4, or excuse me, level 4 and level 7, with the Noxious Blossom and the Blossom Swell, Choking Palm, all that good stuff for burst ability, as well as Thornwood Vines, just a good poking tool around the objective phase, making sure that Lunar can stay away from Varian, because he has been diving quite heavily into the face of Hazuabs, as there's a blessed shield that I didn't talk about, but that is exactly what I wanted to see. I was thinking about the 10 talent tiers earlier in the game, and I was like, Falling Sword is cool, but blessed shield is that aggression that I want, and we get it here. Unfortunately, Rhaegar may go down. Dragonite, though, goes over the side of Storm. We'll have to find out how much value Storm Esports can actually get with this, because top lane, it's a 2v1. It's a 2v1 versus Liam Zurel, so that you're not going to find much value here, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and probably not going to get a kill, though they're getting some structures. In the end of the day, it's the first kill for 30k, traded for a Dragonite. That gets a wall and a bit of a fort. Pretty satisfying for Storm, and a little bit of a mitigation of damage by 30k. Again, we see that single target Wailing Arrow, where I wonder... Justin said, right, Wailing Arrow is mostly being used on a single target, and it's true, and he thinks mind control is usually better. Wailing does travel just a little bit faster, I think. Maybe a little bit faster, and it does a bit more damage. Maybe that's why he wants it, like that single target shot. But I remember before Wailing Arrow was nerfed, it would like routinely get 4-man. I think they made it smaller. Nice sidestep by Lauber dodging that blessed shield.
They want this. They want this so bad, and they're going to find it. They dive underneath tower shots. Urel, with the Dauntless, is able to just kind of mitigate some of the armor reduction. I like that aggression. I think 30k really needed that here. They were starting to fall behind in the momentum that they had set on map number 1, Grubby.
Yeah, that's true. Storm started off pretty okay here, and 30k had a really big first game. This one is a lot more even, but it seems like it's pulling ahead of 30k, isn't it?
Just a little bit ahead of 30k. It's 2-1, but still, yeah, it's just that little bit of an advantage. Yeah, exactly. Like it's like slowly but surely the map is getting pressed in, and at some point, chat, we will get into comms. Don't worry, we will get into comms. I haven't forgotten. It's Dragonshire. It's a hard map to call comms. We'll find a good spot. Don't worry. But we will jump in at some point. But we have Hogger trying to spin in. Hanzo rips another arrow. Decker Kane will be the one to get hit by that. There's going to be big damage into Bad Benny, and he will be falling. Expulsion Zone comes down, and that is going to be Joanna going down as well. The Shrine's activating, and actually, maybe Grubby, we get into some Storm comms and hear how they're going to continue to play this map while they have the advantage.
Yeah, let's go in like 10 seconds. Let's watch this fight first. Wait till Johanna comes back. Varian is going to get the Ancestral, but there was the shield that was needed from Zarya to actually keep him alive. Here you've got that turnaround on Deckard. He's fairly healthy still. He had a big stay while and listen, but it didn't lead to any more kills. Wow, the triangle just about hits Lauer at the very edge. Does that mean he dies here? Hasops is trying to get near, getting some big potions from Deckard there. And yeah, I think now just to kind of hear the macro calls would be lovely to hear from Storm.
In we go.
They cannot go on you. In the future, you gotta like just walk up when we're in
an expulsion if they walk into this.
We can't be afraid. I think they're an easy jump.
They went 2 mid.
They might be 5.
Didn't finish.
They might rotate there on us.
I'm capping top.
Yeah, we don't know where you're at.
Just shoving the bow wave.
Hi, Vero.
You're a stop. Can we look here behind them?
I can just
look behind them.
Yeah, I got it. I don't have any.
Use mine.
We hit 1 arrow, it's okay. Johanna's gonna bless.
They're gonna go on us, yeah.
I'm in trouble. I can deal the wall.
Svanna's is 1. Svanna's is dying. She's dead.
I'm 1.
Come on, Decker.
Decker.
I need a heal.
I see you.
Yeah, he's coming. Yeah, she's.
Yeah, this looks hard.
Yeah, she's here.
Like if you're afraid of using just wait for my taunt, Abby, and like just arrow on that maybe.
I mean, they have Lunar cleanse now, so it has to. We can.
As we jump out of the Storm Esports comms, things were starting great, but it just seemed like... I honestly, Grubby, after that arrow didn't connect, I feel like that should have been the sign to just leave. But they kept going. They did find the kill in Sylvanas, but it felt like that kill was almost Copium-esque. Like, it was like, oh, we got the kill, like, we can keep going, and then it's just Ivy Tings. You can hear him like, I'm in trouble, I need healing, I need something, and just nothing to him over the wall, and that is going to be still 30k kind of turning things around while we were in those comms.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, a large part of that is that Johanna flank that suddenly came in, Bad Benny with that blessed shield coming from the other side. You know, just the solo laners never got to join, but Bad Benny finally showed up, and that got that return blessed shield combo. Appreciation for picking blessed shield again. I thought we're going to see it more after the level 20 falling sword nerfs. I don't think we've seen it enough. It's what gives Johanna initiation again, while still picking a strong hero that just generally performs well, and denying it to an opponent, but then not saying like, oh, well, we also got to take the one that has infinite level 20 value. Like, maybe you want to have a game plan before level 20 and actually have blessed shield. Love it. I think it's been used well. We've got a pretty even game on our hands. Just to paint the picture here, we've got more kills and levels for 30k, but Storm's got more structures, at least for now. That always still matters.
Good use of the Hog Wild from Dequaza to be able to just mitigate any sort of savage charge. The kick from the Dragonite. Really want to quickly note the Decker King level 16. He did go Scroll of Stone Curse, dealing 200% more damage when hitting at least 2 heroes. And this is Dino immediately rushing through onto the top lane keep, or fort. On the note of what you're saying, Grubby, on the Blessed Shield stuff, I absolutely agree. I think if maybe we go back to like Diablo Joanna sort of draft where Joanna's the solo lane and Diablo's the hard initiator, then maybe Falling Sword for the utility of the cleanse, etc. That'd be strong. But I think Blessed Shield is it's not necessary, but it's such a great tool. I mean, it's what, a 60-second cooldown for 90 mana, and you can lock down multiple targets. Radiating Faith at 20 is great, but here comes another fight. Arrow's not going to connect. There's going to be a stay while and listen, just catching the toe of Zarya. Ancestor Healing will be coming out, and Zrutso is going to do his best to apply some shielding. There's an expulsion zone, but it's not going to save Hanzo. BBJ is the new target. Dequaza tries to get it's just falling apart here, Grubby. Storm Esports, looking for just a little bit of a back and forth in the lane, are going to lose 4 members. Lauber is able to back away with some couple hundred health, but for the next 30 seconds, this is 30k doing what 30k does best, seeing an advantage and taking complete control over it. Dare I say, 30k are going to end here in 14 minutes.
Yeah, they're thinking about it. Pretty
positioning.
Crazy if they do. I'm not sure that they can. I don't think they have enough health and mana to do so. The death timers are too short, but they're gonna go for it. I'm in shock, Bahamut. Do you think this is gonna work?
We'll have to find out here. Hazoabs is getting chunked by Lauber right now. There's going to be some stuns on the Bad Benny. Now Hanzo, he's just respawned. Dequaza will respawn in just a second here. Core is falling rapidly. Hazoabs trying to apply a lot of damage, but that's a scatter arrow to chunk through the Lunara. This is going to be an arrow into Joanna. Decker Kane will be falling, 50% left on the core, and that is going to be all 5 members of 30k falling. Now here's the question. With 50 or so seconds and a whole map rotation and a keep that needs to go down. I think the keep front wall is already going down in bottom lane. Yes, it is actually, because the keep's taking damage. Can Storm actually volleyball all the way across the map, take down the keep and take down the core before death timers? It's 30 seconds or so. I think this is going to be a 30k loss.
Yeah, I think so too. Hanzo doesn't have the best damage into structures, but Zarya and Rhaegar make up for it. And it is a big difference whether there's one tank alive or not. This is such this is such an unexpected result. So unnecessary. So unnecessary for 30k to try there. I think it was super iffy, but great job on Storm, keeping in there, and actually winning with the level 19 versus 20. Wow. GG.
That was what I wanted today. Like, I Bahamut, I stay, caster bias all aside, but me, Chris, I wanted back and forth. I wanted blood from both teams, and this is what I wanted. After first map, I was a little worried. I was like, man, 30k, are they just going to run through this in 3-0? No. Storm Esports will be able to take map number 2, and we got to get Justin back in here to break down what went right, what went wrong, and everything. Just please take it away, my friend.
So whoever made that final call by 30k, if they do lose the series, is definitely going to be kicking themselves after this, because That was rough. The 14% core, a bit of a throw from 30k in the end. They get the insane 4-for-0 fight mid, which I wasn't sure if they were going to try to end the game or not at first. It looked like they weren't really thinking about that. If they would have been intentionally planning to end the game off the bat, they maybe would have just killed the sidewall and kind of just played inside the base. It was only a Varian, so they weren't really under any threat of being inside the base in a 5 versus 1. So if they would have been kind of prepping for that, they maybe could have executed it and gotten the core killed there if they would have just taken a sidewall and just walked past the keep and killed the keep from behind and then killed the core. But very close. I think they thought that since they had the blessings from Deckard, it would be enough. Obviously, we saw that it was not. The defense from Storm, they respawned a little bit too quick. They do wipe them on the core. I'll be honest, most of my notes were about 30k because I kind of thought they were going to win, so got a bit bamboozled there at the end. But so there was an interesting dynamic though, and I'm kind of impressed with how Storm was able to play the early game so well. I wasn't really expecting them to have the rotation advantage on Dragonshire with their composition. It was kind of neat to see them using Rhaegar and Zarya together as if it was like a Rhaegar Greymane combo almost, and those two were just sort of holding hands, happily going across lane to lane, taking camps, just pushing wherever they wanted, and the response from 30k in the early game felt really slow. So really good early game by Storm, and I think a lot of that comes down to the difference between Rhaegar and Deckard. On a map like Dragonshire, you want to be really self-reliant. Really quick, this was an incredible flank by Bad Benny. That's the main reason that they won this fight. The flank for Bad Benny coming into the backline and hitting the Bless Shield was really, really nice. But the early game advantage was mostly due to the fact that Rhaegar, very self-reliant, has a lot of wave clear, can take camps, can clear waves on his own, whereas Deckard, unless he's with a bunch of teammates, is fairly useless just by himself on Dragonshire. He's not going to be 1v1ing anybody, he's not going to be taking camps, he's not really clearing waves. And you could tell that once they hit level 13 and they got the blessings, they started grouping a lot more on the side of 30k. And they really utilized the Deckard much better in team fights. And like I mentioned, the Varian really is kind of to enable a pick comp. In 5v5s, straight up 5v5s, 30k, level 13, level 16, should just win every single one, and we saw that, where Varian can get a taunt, but it's really difficult to one-shot anyone with your follow-up. It's not really quick, bursty follow-up, so as soon as they fail to one-shot, that's typically where the team fights fall apart, and then this is where they unfortunately go for the core, a little bit over-eager, a little bit greedy, maybe weren't prepping to do this initially, because they would have maybe killed the keep a little bit differently to get here quicker, and they do get punished. And one last thing about 30k, I really liked that Bad Benny took the Bless Shield. I think that was a good adaptation, because like I mentioned, pick comps are the best way to play Dragonshire, and with Johanna traditionally you don't have the ability to play pick comp, but post level 10 they did with the Bless Shield. And my MVP for that game is probably the Siege Giants that pushed bottom, that helped Storm to win the game.
Those Siege Giants were critical during all of that siege through the bottom lane, but it is going to be a 1-1 score. We are in the midst of this best-of-5 series, and it's going to be quite a fun one, or at least that's my expectation for it. We're going to take a short little break. In this break, I want you to use 2 special commands in chat, as I had mentioned earlier at the show, and you're going to hear it through a lot of the day. We do have an awards show for HeroesCCL. You can use !awards in chat to get yourself over to those nominations and vote. As I said before, it's just voting. You don't have to sit there and actually plug in any sort of like, oh, this was the play, here's the YouTube link. No, there's literally YouTube links next to the award thing, so you can, in this break, you can be like, oh, let's check out that awards nomination. So !awards in chat for that, as well as you can see on the bottom of our screen, we have !prize pool. We do have a prize pool, and we do have a little bit of a goal. Grubby will be singing a song for us, and for every, when we hit 15k, and for every $1,000 mark along the way, he's going to reveal a little bit more about the song. So far, we know it is about Illidan, and it's to the tune of Moana's You're Welcome. So use those 2 commands in chat, because we're going to take a short little break. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. How do I get better at this game? How do I get as good as a CCL player?
Just give it up, Baha.
What were you thinking?
Bahamut, you're never gonna win.
The CCL players, they're really good. They're in CCL. So I just need the CCL merch to be as good as the CCL players. Oh man, there's some really cool stuff in here. But I don't have time to wait. I need my wins now. I'm gonna make my own CCL merch. That'll get me the wins that I need. Now that I have my own merch, I can win every single hero. Even with my own amazing homemade merch, I'm still not winning. I have to get the real deal. Oh yeah, this is, oh, gotta get one of these. Gotta get one of these. It is cold outside, so we're gonna get that new season pullover. Oh yeah. Now to purchase my game-winning apparel from HeroesCCL merch. Wow, now that I have this new HeroesCCL apparel, I might as well try out and play some Heroes of the Storm games and see if I can maybe win a little few extra. Ooh.
Yes! I'm winning! We're winning!
You can win every single game you play in Heroes of the Storm with HeroesCCL Season 3 merch. Wisdom Gaming and HeroesCCL are not responsible for any Storm League points lost or given away to enemies that are better than you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to HeroesCCL, and we gotta ask, what were you all thinking about that wonderful merch video that we put together? Shout out to our editor, Warak, who put all of that together. All I did was film a couple shots here and there, and I sent him a bunch of information, so shout out to Warak, who really put a lot of that together. He did an amazing job, and I hope you all enjoyed our fun little merch video, and I hope you all are checking out the merch. It's seriously, like, I'm wearing the Season 3 shirt today. They're super comfortable. They're really good material. The design's great as well, and the screen printing onto the t-shirt is actually really high quality as well. For those of you that are curious, because I know some people do care about how well it's printed onto this t-shirt, but t-shirts, merch, all of that aside, let's continue talking about this best of 5 series, because I got Justin and Grubby back with me, and we are going to be getting into more of this 30K versus Storm Esports matchup, and I believe we can start talking about our map pretty quickly here, because I'm ready to find out where we're going to go into where we're going to go for map number 3, because map number 2, Justin, that was quite a crazy ending.
Yeah, that was definitely unexpected. It's hard to say which team is going to come out of that really feeling better about themselves and having momentum going into the next game. Storm did get the win, but they have to feel a little bit like maybe they didn't quite deserve it. It was a lot on the side of 30K with that failed core attempt. So it's hard to say whether Storm is going to be really motivated by that and really hyped up and having the momentum in their favor, or if they're still going to be a little disappointed with how they played up until that final point.
It was honestly, like, I was looking back at it, and I was like, man, it's one of those things where, like, it looked like it was possible, but there's just too many little things happening all at once. There's still fort, there's still keep, there's still sidewall, people going after Varian, but that's all in the past. Let's look towards the future and know where we're going to be going into for map number 3. This is once again going to be the map choice of 30K, as 30K was the losing team. They opted for map pick priority, and they'll be choosing to take us to Curse Hollow. For anyone at home that wants to know the stats, as always, the members of 30K on Curse Hollow currently sit at a record of 1-0. Over on the side of Storm Esports, they have played this map 6 times, and they are having a record of 4-2. So some more information available to the side of 30K, but more practice to the side of Storm Esports, Grubby. Yeah.
More information as well on the side of Storm Esports then in that case, so maybe 30K has a little bit of info on that. We remember when Storm won their 3-1 victory against Oxygen, the only map they ended up losing was Towers of Doom. It was also against Abathur. They ended up banning Abathur right away afterwards, where they were like, okay, we're really good at team fights and macro and blah, 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 but we don't want to lose against unfair XP and macro mechanics. 30K is not too bad at that either, but I feel like almost the coordination that 30K is showing today would be going to waste playing something like Abathur Vikings. When you've only got 4 sets of brains and 8 eyes inside that 4-man rotation, and you're just kind of playing like the macro game, I think you're wasting the kill potential that 30K has been showing that they have. I see both of the 2 games that were played so far as 30K wins. Even though the score is 1-1, they had one fatal core throw. I use that term very sparingly, but I think it's appropriate here because they were basically winning most of the game. So 30K, whatever they're doing that's still working, I don't think they need to go to the macro. So I like that Storm is not like just banning out Abathur in the first ban or something.
When we look back, I was actually double checking my stats. When we look back at the record for 30K, this was the map that they played with the Lost Vikings, Lieutenant Morales, all that kind of weird stuff, Justin. I guess pretty standard in your eyes, but really interesting draft potential for 30K, but I want to get your thoughts on what's happened so far between the bans and the picks.
Yeah, I was considering that as well with the match between 30K and Simplicity, where we saw 30K playing the weird Vikings medic with the medevac comp. If Storm is at all worried about that, this is probably where you would see the Vikings ban come out. It doesn't appear that they're going to be afraid of that. We'll see. Well, it's hard to kind of gauge from that match if Storm is going to kind of take too much out of that and end up potentially wasting a ban here on the Vikings if it's not what 30K is looking to run. But they definitely are aware of that match and are thinking about it. Picking up the Diablo Hogger, a Malthael being banned to not have that percent-based damage going up into the Hogger in Diablo, that's very interesting. We very rarely see Malthaels in the CCL. Last time we saw it, I believe, was Nintori from Diamond Hands, and it didn't look too great then. So it's really fairly out of the meta pick. So Storm really digging deep here in the draft theory, kind of thinking real hard about what could counter their comp and sort of targeting 30K. And the globals get picked up for 30K, so 30K is still looking really flexible, and Storm Esports looking very tanky.
Do you think that Storm is digging too deep? Because the two picks that could come is Tychus and Malthael. They ban Malthael. It's like they're saying, please take Tychus. Why? So that no Falstad is picked? Is that how deep they're thinking?
It is really strange, yeah. You would expect the Tychus ban. I'm curious if maybe it's something that they've seen from scrims against each other. That would be my guess, because unless other teams are maybe playing Malthael against them in scrims quite a bit, there is really no other real reason to ban the Malthael over the Tychus. So yeah, they might be possibly overthinking it a bit, or they have some scrim information that we're not aware of.
It's going to be a Zeratul. This is actually kind of exciting. I like the aggression that we're seeing from Storm Esports, and also I do like what 30K has kind of done with their draft. They haven't shown their soul laner, and they can kind of flex into whatever. This could be another Urel for Liam for the control around the objective, bopping back the Diablo and Hogger, but it's going to be a variant to come through. Really interesting, Justin. Got to get your thoughts on the draft that has happened here on Curse Hollow.
So they flex the Johanna into the offlane. I think that's just always a good choice to keep it flexible while picking the Johanna early. We've seen the Johanna offlane be pretty powerful, especially on this map where he's not going to be needing to worry too much about clearing night camps, because he's most likely going to be top or bottom, and clearing the siege giants should be fairly easy for a Johanna. You can pull them into the tower with your condemn, and I think Liam will do just fine on the Johanna. I think it's mostly just a response to the Zeratul that they made that change, that they picked the Varian. Point and click CC is by far the easiest thing to counter Zeratul with. If you don't have an easy way to lock down the Zeratul, he can become quite a menace and a little bit too much of a problem. So picking up the Varian, they have the Brightwing with the Polymorph, they have the Varian with the Taunt. Those are two of what are basically the best counters to Zeratul if you're able to get that CC off. So Rhaegar on the BBJ is going to have to be paying extra attention to Rutzo on the Zeratul to make sure that he's safe, that he doesn't blink in and just instantly get deleted with the Taunt, with the Polymorph. But Storm's comp I really like a lot. It's kind of deathball-y. It's a little bit more combo-based, but if they're all on the same page, which Storm is known to be, I think that they definitely do have a good shot in this Game 3.
Well, thank you, Justin, as always, and we'll see you after Curse Hollow, because we have loaded on in and we are ready to go here on the left-hand side. We got 30K, Joanna, played by Liam, Hazoub's on the Lunara, Dino on the Falstad, Benny on the Varian, and Yasu to play the Brightwing. Over in the red, we're looking at Storm Esports. We're going to be seeing Rutzo on the Zeratul, Dequaza on the Hogger, Lauber on the Diablo, BBJ on the Rhaegar, and Ibitings on the Sylvanas. And here's the thing, Grubby, that I wanted to talk about in the draft a little bit, and I was like, and call it a meme, whatever you want to call it. There was a point where Justin was talking about Varian Taunt, and I was like, what if it's Colossal Smash? You go auto attack with Falstad, and we're literally seeing frequent flyer at level 1 for the Falstad. So what if Falstad is going to be that Tychus per se with the percent-based damage, because you do have the Tailwind at level 13, if I'm not mistaken, for the percent-based damage, but BBJ is going to get dove in on immediately. Dequaza tries to get a Hog Wild into a good position so he can use the staggering blow to save BBJ. Not necessary, but no kill and a little bit of structure over to the side of Storm Esports. I think 30K, they've drafted something unique here, Grubby, and I think they're going to really evolve their talents and evolve their play throughout Cursed Hollow. I think 30K can definitely win this. What do you think about these drafts for Cursed Hollow?
Yeah, I think the Dino choice is good. He's going to be spending some time on the off lane in addition to whenever Johanna or Brightwing might be doing that. And yeah, it helps to kill a Diablo. and a Hogger for that matter. You're not going to be as good as Tychus at auto attacks,
Right.
but you'll try to do it from a bit further away and rely less on Mage blow up, which doesn't work that well into Soul Shield or into Zeratul because he tends to dodge a lot of skill shots. It seems correct. You'll take boss quicker and so on and so on.
Yep.
In terms of the variant, usually we don't see C-Smash unless it is both carried by a double support and is then at level 20 with the healing banner enabling double support. So I don't think we will. But even just taunt into those auto attack, maybe even secret weapon shots that are coming out from fast start, that's still going to be loads of burst.
We should be seeing Secret Weapon for the increased damage while the hammering is thrown out. We could see Crippling Hammer as well for the increased slow amount on said hammering, which is going to allow sustained chase. Polymorph can then come through. Joanna, I'm assuming it's going to be a Falling Sword Joanna for that, as we were talking about in the last game, the ability to have the cleanse since Varian will be that main tank. And as you have predicted, Grubby, it is going to be the taunt. I was living in a world of copium where maybe we see a Varian screaming his way through Curse Hall.
The copium is strong in this one.
It is. Oh, it is.
I mean, you have to have faith for moments like this. Your faith is strong. I appreciate that a lot. To keep hoping for C-Smash, even though it never happens again, since we went and hired Justin for analysis. So now we will never get C-Smash again, Saj. But we keep hoping. We keep hoping. Hope dies last.
I'm sure he's sitting there taking notes during this game saying, what were you thinking, Baha? As we get continued pressure across the map, and this is going to be the Lunara in position for the objective. She does have Sentinel Wisp, and I'm actually going to quickly check the vision that's provided by this. Oh, wait, hold on. Varian comes in for the taunt on the Dayquaza. It's pretty big, forcing him to take quite a bit of damage. But when it comes to the vision, I mean, Sylvanas was seen before she was even, into this tribute area. That's how much vision that Sentinel Wisp gives. And a nice shield glare over the wall from Liam will delay out once, but I don't think we're going to see a second delay as Lauber gets the Shadow Charge. Oh, nice shield glare with the Zealous Glare from level 1.
It's funny because Liam was running so far away from the center being chased by the dog that I didn't think he was going to get in range again for that shield glare, but it was perfectly timed. Last 1/3 of a second. Staggering blow from Hogger there gets interrupted by taunt, preventing Lunara being a staggering blow stunned into the wall. And the fight over the tribute continues.
Liam is in mid lane, focusing on the Rhaegar and Sylvanas. Bad Benny is trying to get this channel right here. Dayquaza getting very low. The taunt comes out onto the Diablo. Lauber trying to back away, uses the minion as a shadow charge target, and is able to back away as Lunara has spread quite a bit of poison around. But speaking of poison, this is going to be the towers locked down by Sylvanas with her version of poison, that Black Arrow. And I have to say, Storm Esports, they're delaying this out really, really well and finding value in other places. While the Falstad and Zeratul are just kind of having a brawl in bottom lane, we do have value through mid. Now another taunt onto Dayquaza. He's taking quite a bit of damage. Will be trying to back away. Gets a good spin. Lunara, do you have one more auto? I don't think it's going to be available, or at least it won't be enough damage because Dayquaza gets a chain heal from BBJ. The objective over to the side of Storm. Storm Esports, I have to say this, Grubby, are really controlling Curse Hollow well.
Yeah, they've also got Zeratul defending, Rutso just defending mid bot, and so on. They get the tribute as well. Good job to them. But this hasn't come for free. 3 towers are down almost on the side of Storm Esports. Almost 2 in the middle and 1 in the bottom. What have they got in return? They killed 1 tower. They killed 3 towers themselves as well. So Storm is with a little bit of a lead right now.
Okay, Storm with the lead. Dino flies in, a lot of damage coming in. BBJ is going to be the target. The polymorph comes through, and BBJ will fall. That right there is going to be first blow. Okay.
Oh my god. I will be mentally prepared next game. We got at least one more chance. Enigma, our user in the chat, he demands us to get this right this week. We have to accelerate our schedule. We had until the end of the season or so, I thought, but now gotta hit it today, maybe.
We got it's 3 play days, including today, for our matches of HeroesCCL Season 3, and 10 Talents here is going to be coming through on the side of 30k. We are going to be seeing Varian go for the charge at level, the Warbringer, excuse me, for the reduced cooldown of 8 seconds. So basically, charge right now has a 4-second cooldown. The mana cost has gone down, but also to keep in mind, Warbringer allows Varian, Bad Benny, to charge to allies as well. So you can utilize that as a disengage tool, or even maybe a chase potential to close close the distance.
Yeah, you know what's even better than Warbringer? Warbringer has a 4-second cooldown, but Twin Blades has no cooldown on charge. You're constantly charging in.
The thing is, you're not wrong, Grubby. You're not wrong at all. Like that, yeah, that math does check out. Bosses traded in top and bottom, and we will be having an objective phase coming up. I don't think this is made. We'll get into some comms at some point. We'll try and get into the 30k comms at some point here. This looks like it's more of like a macro moment. Yeah, please. Sorry.
One more thing. The reason I keep not getting your cue on First Blood synchronization, every time you say, and it's going to be, I legit just sit in rapt attention, trying to see what it's going to be. I think like, he's going to share something with us. I wonder what it'll be. And I go full cool story, Bob. And then I'm like, it's the same thing again.
This is Grubby. This is why we work so well together, because we listen to each other. We listen intently at what the other one has to say, and we don't think that we're memeing half the time. But here comes a lightning breath from Diablo, but it's actually the Hawker to go down. A great gust from Dino, very low on mana, but that mana doesn't matter because it's auto attack City with that secret weapon. Falling sword to chase on a BBJ. He's gonna get stunned. He's gonna get taunted. Retzo comes in trying to make something happen here, but BBJ will die to the damage of Lunara.
30k is pretty good. I'm just gonna put that out there. It's a hot take.
Okay.
People are gonna be like, "You're crazy." Well, I'm gonna say it. Some people were thinking it, and I put it out there. They're pretty good. Not entirely without losses, of course. They kind of ignored boss for a bit. The top wall has been destroyed. Something fierce. More so than Storm's bottom wall, where there's just one tower about to fall. Not that it's on fire or anything like that, but yeah, it's low, what we're trying to say. But the curse comes over to 30k. Let's see what they can get out of it.
You want to jump in their comms and see how they're macroing this curse?
Let's go 30k.
In we go.
He still has VP though, so we have to be a little careful. They're perma. They're showing mid.
I want to go spell shield.
I have line now.
Might look here or go.
I'm clearing bottom, guys. They see me bottom. They might be angry.
Zarato's mid.
They're running.
They're looking for us, kind of.
Still mid, okay.
Let's get the top 4.
Diablo Zera missing.
I clear bottom and then...
I think we go mid together.
I get one last wave though.
Yeah.
Zeratul bot. I'm running in top side here. I have it.
Zera is showing bottom, so I'm getting one wave and then coming.
Yeah, I sniffed him.
Zera's there first. Careful, I'm coming now.
Looks fine for now.
We should...
They're coming top though. They're coming top.
Yeah, they're coming.
Yeah. I mean, we can see on mid if they're...
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down the siege mid hard here.
Oh, there's still...
The fort will be on soon though. The fort's almost on though. Help over here.
Kill this.
Oh, Diablo is deep. I have nothing. Can Hogger
Careful,
shot here?
I ult this.
Hit Diablo.
Dino, help Dino.
Kill him. Oh, okay, maybe.
Hit him. We can't.
No.
Just live if you can.
My bit.
It's okay. Just live.
Don't have him as I think let's go mid. Go mid. They're bleeding on top.
I'm dead, but it's fine. I'll get the XP.
Still doesn't do too much.
As we see Liam getting chased out of bottom lane, and I don't expect him to make it out of here alive. No falling sword available for the next 26 seconds, so he'll buy a few moments of time here. I do like that even though 30k made the mistake in that mid lane engagement, Grubby, you could even hear that they're being positive with a failure, if that makes sense. Like, even though, like, Dino, I think he even was just like, oops, like his flight. Like, you can kind of hear him like, I'm not in a good spot.
Help me. Yeah. After he dies, you've got the classical Stormleague guy that jumped in too far. He's like, kill them. Ping. Like, make my sacrifice not be in vain.
Exactly. But I do.
They actually stayed longer, I think, than they should have because of that. Yeah.
I agree on that one. The gust actually seemed promising before Dino died because it did push a lot of Storm Esports away, isolating the Diablo, but that gap wasn't that big, and you still had the tower shots because the curse ended, so a little bit of a over-aggression from the side of 30k as the gap to 16 was closed with that triple kill found to Storm Esports.
Yeah, that's a very nice and welcome comeback opportunity for Storm. Lauber wasn't going to fall fast. He's got that defensive build with the Fire Stamp and the Soul Shield, so he can stay alive pretty long there with that Lightning Breath, even though he was isolated away. This taunt, it's more of a resource drain attempt. They managed to get Soul Shield out of him. No real threat behind it. Soul Shield comes back early, every time Diablo damages an enemy, and that's really easy with this spammy Fire Stomp build. So it's not too much of a resource. You know, those are the kind of taunts where like no one is really at risk. We've got this big 5-man coming in from Storm Esports, and anyone they catch better watch out.
You can see the Falstad and Brightwing in top lane on map for Storm Esports, and I think 30k are fine with giving this away. I think 30k just want to continue to press in this top lane. Top lane could be a win condition. It is the boss side for for Storm Esports, as it is on the top right of the map, but if 30k could get this boss, that is a short distance to go to a keep. And boss is available up here. Dayquaza gonna get scattered out. Nice barrel roll. Rutso might try and close the distance with a blink. There's one blink forward. Lobber. The barrel roll's already been used. Gust is available.
Kill them! Kill them! Kill them!
So, yeah, it's gonna be a boss traded. If Falstad didn't die there, I could see a world where 30k tries to go boss off this, like a steal in top lane. But if anything, it's just try and pressure out as much of the bottom lane as you can with another camp, the siege camp, and then Hearth back and clear out the boss through the top lane. But actually, I say that, and it's actually 30k who need to. They can't really Hearth. I think they have to let this boss go through top and defend around the objective, because if this objective goes over to Storm, they will get cursed. We'll see what value they could get with a 2 minutes of tower lockdown, I believe it is? Minute 30?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how much it is. I think it's a little shorter than that, probably. Baron gets attacked here by Zeratul. Purple Blade comes back in. Yazoo takes a bit of damage from Lightning Breath. Wailing Arrow hits both of the two Flight. Shockwave threading the needle, going in between. Oh, that's big cleave damage. Rutso getting some good Zeratul value. Void Prison, he's gonna have his cleave back. There's the second cleave. Brightwing goes down. Beautiful Ancestral by BBJ on Rutso to save his Zeratul. Bassos are on the core on both sides. For 30k, there's even a siege camp behind it, so that's doing even more. They've lost one member. Taunt is still available. They have some tools of slowing things down, but Liam missed the blinds and ID things. That's a 30% boss with siege camp and catapult on Storm's core. Ignorable though, because the minions have weakened. The core can defend this. Maybe one person goes back. They will take core damage. Core will drop to like, I want to say about 80% if Rutso didn't come back, maybe even less. But really, Storm is looking to push their advantage here. They've got top keep as well. They want another keep and set this game up properly for a potential win. If they get one more kill off of this curse, then they could maybe end. But they're playing kind of slow. They're waiting for Rutso to come back in. There are still those two buffers of forwards in the mid and the bottom. And they kind of want to not reveal where they are. Wisp is a spy.
Wisp is seeing all of what Storm Esports are doing right now, and this is 30k knowing that it's 4 members around this objective, or excuse me, around the Bruiser camp, as the Wisp will finally be cleared out. So Zeratul not showing, but the ever-looming threat of him jumping in from some sort of far distance with a blink and then a VP, followed by the Hellstorm or Lightning Breath of Diablo. He doesn't have the 20 yet, so we don't know if he went Hellstorm, but the curse will end, and we take stock of the map, and we basically sit one structure up in favor for the side of Storm Esports, but as you had said, one good team fight on realistically either side could be a win condition. Bottom lane for the side of 30k, top lane for the side of Storm Esports.
Yeah, you're right. It's super equal suddenly. I really thought Storm will try to get a little bit more out of that. But the buffer forwards slowed them down, which actually made anywhere they would go, make the store bell go off, new customer, and they would already be found out. And 30k would know they're coming and then just mount a large defense. Curse not enough to really brute force down, keeps it full life in a 5-on-5 with equal talents. All Curse does is it removes defender's advantage. There isn't that much attacker's advantage, actually. There's no like big boss that can do stuns and roots. So kudos to Storm for playing it slow, living into their level 20s, and having the game be equal. Zeratul now has lifesteal from spell damage. This one is incredible. You can see him go from 30% to full off of maybe a single cleave into enough people.
I mean, he does, Rutso, this Zeratul does have greater cleave, he's got rending cleave, he's got all the cleave value, but the big thing is actually that level 1, the greater cleave, you increase the size, or I guess the radius of your cleave by 33%, so in some of these VP moments where a lot of enemies are stacked up, you can get quite a bit of splash, and then that rending for damage over time. But as you had mentioned, spell damage coming back in as health is a great way to sustain Rutso in some of these deep dive moments. as we have another curse point coming up, or excuse me, tribute. No curse either side. Great Earthgrass Totem coming out from BBJ. Lobber goes in, trying to make a play right now. There's going to be some spell shielding onto him from his Soul's Shield from level 1. 45-second cooldown onto that one, but Lobber steps back in. Bad Benny going in for the charge. Rutso just above the enemy, but right now that Wisp in the bush already sees Rutso in this position. Rutso was already seen. There's that red dot over the enemy head, and he knew that he was seen. He went in for the fight anyways. BBJ used the Ancestor Healing, has the Farseer's Blessing, so you'll see 2 charges of that go off, but you also have that kind of AoE splash because allies near the Ancestral right now take 1,200, or I guess gain 1,294 health, and that does scale as these teams level up. But one tribute over to the side of 30k, and the map continues to go on as Zeratul dead for the next 32.
Yeah, and it was correct for Rutso and Storm to try and make something happen there to a degree, because the map was 50-50, except Storm also had a siege camp pushing a little bit. Though I must say that bottom siege camp isn't likely to do much because it's met by catapults, more catapults. That was never going to push too far. Nice polymorph taunt killed him. Now it's a 4v5. You gotta wonder, why are we here? Are we but slaves to this torment? Storm is in a 4v5. BBJ and Dequaza running away. Diablo has been segregated off. Rhaegar goes down already. It's another kill, another chain death. And Lunara isn't stopping yet. He's still trying to get Dequaza, and he actually got paid for it with a shockwave coming out of Dequaza, who does not have the power spike talent at 20, so shockwave is not going to come back any quicker. It's fully leading into the rage talent. Now we've got a boss in front of open core. 30k is very close to potential victory here, and Storm knows it. They're gonna fight with much fewer people again here on the boss point.
Really risky, but Lobber goes in. There's going to be the turn on to Sylvanas. Rutso has to blink away. Lobber left on an island all by himself. We actually have Rutso coming back in saying, "You will not die alone, my friend." There's a VP onto the point. We stall out for 2, 1. There it is. It's going to be everyone back into play right now. Dequaza trying to knock people back. There's going to be Bad Benny going in. The boss does go over to the side of Storm Esports, but I don't think they care on the side of 30k. 30k kills all 5 members. Death timer for Diablo is really low. BBJ had already died earlier, so Diablo and Rhaegar are back up. Falstead goes back to make sure that catapults on core do not end, because catapults right now in the top lane are dealing 662 damage into structures. That's that double scaled number for all of you at home, but okay, we find ourselves on a very familiar point here, Grubby.
But why did Falstad go back?
The 3 catapults, I guess? I think they were afraid of those catapults in top, but let's find out what happens here. Ancestor Healing coming out onto the Diablo. He has no souls. Farseer's Blessing will get the second trigger right there. We got 5 seconds on the Sylvanas. Things are looking very much like Dragonshire. Falstad does fly in. He lands right onto the armor reducing point from the core defenses, but it's not enough. This time, 30k will be able to end the game on core, and they will not all fall. That was a really well-played series from both, or I guess, excuse me, a really well-played game. We're not done with the series by any means. It's a best of 5, and there's so much to look at from this last game between the back and forth. It was 10-5 in kills. Some great moments shining out from Storm Esports, but I'm sure Justing has a lot of critical moments to break down for us here on Curse Hollow.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game. I had mentioned in the draft that Zeratul, played by Rutso, was going to be a little bit difficult into Varian and Brightwing, and we did see that highlighted with where the game sort of started to fall apart for Storm, was when Rutso gets caught mid and gets taunted by the Varian into the polymorph and just deleted. His team is nearby, but they're not close enough to actually save him. And that staggering allowed them to play for the 5v4 by boss, where they got another pick onto Rhaegar, and then they got to play for a 5v4 on their boss again for 30k. And they win the fight. Somehow Storm is able to get the boss, but it doesn't matter. I'm proud of 30k for not second guessing themselves and being maybe a little hesitant to go core there after the way that the previous game went, where they had thrown on the core on Dragonshire, just barely not winning the game, having the 14% core. It does take a lot of restraint, or a lot of just discipline, to not really think emotionally about the last game and to think just objectively that yes, we can end the game this time for sure, and to not be kind of having just the trauma of the previous game of throwing on core and not wanting to do that again, so taking the safer play and not ending there. It's good to see them still take advantage of that. The early game was actually pretty good overall for Storm Esports, considering that they need to be scaling with their composition. They did get level 16 on even talents with 30k. Both teams hit 16 around the same point. A lot of that was due to the first objective. Storm was able to stall the top objective for a long period of time, which allowed Zeratul to mostly avoid everybody and just double soak between mid and bottom against a Johanna. And Johanna doesn't really bully Zeratul in the same way that most of the traditional meta offlaners would in that same situation. So it was a pretty good early lane setup for them, for the side of Storm Esports, getting the Zeratul to level 16. I was curious whether the Johanna level 16 or the Zeratul level 16 would be more impactful, because when you play Q-Build Zeratul, you're pretty much always just playing for that level 16 power spike to get that Void Slash. And I've been kind of joking when I've been playing Johanna in Storm League that every time I hit level 16, I'm saying like, okay, the game's over, I'm Johanna, I have Void Slash now. Because it's basically what it is for Johanna. Her 16 talent is just so ridiculous with the blinds that it's essentially the equivalent of Zeratul Void Slash. Nothing else really compares for the scaling at 16. But here we see that they take advantage of the Zeratul pick. They ended up getting the Rhaegar pick, and then here they're in the situation where they get another pick on the Sylvanas. It was very wild that Lauver's able to get this boss. I just want to watch and see exactly. Okay, so Lauver flips Johanna off the point there at the very last moment. The VP kind of set everything up a little bit. It slowed things down. At first I thought the VP was going to be a bit of a mistake, but it does give them the time. Somehow Lauver does manage to flip Joe off.
It was Hogger actually. Hogger did a staggering blow on 3 members.
Oh, okay. It was both then. So they coordinated that. I didn't even see the Hogger in the same time. So both of them, yeah, you have the flip from Diablo, the knockback from Hogger, just really coordinated by Storm. Unfortunately, losing a little bit too many members there for that to pay off, but still a nice attempt in a 5v4 given the circumstances.
It like the whole game, honestly, like that was the best game today between these two teams so far. Map number 1 looked really good for 30k. I mean, it was like a 15-0 game. Map number 2 was a little more back and forth at moments, and then you had that kind of let's use the term throw on core from the side of 30k. But this last map was really, really fun between both sides. There was definitely win opportunities and win conditions set for Storm, and the same can be said about 30k. I really like that boss play. I think it was a smart call, just positionally as we were kind of watching that back, just to see Sylvanas get picked off so early in the backline just from the bush with, I feel like, so much information already there. Felt a little rough for Storm, but either way, we're getting ready into map number 4, and this series is chugging along. I mean, we're getting into map number 4, and I want to remind everyone at home, we are in a double elimination bracket. So whoever, like, if Storm Esports loses this map that we're about to go to, they're not done. They're not going to be in 4th or whatever place. They still have a bottom bracket to go through that we'll get into a little bit later. Actually, that's going to be tomorrow, because we have another upper bracket matchup later today between Simplicity and Wildheart. We can find out where we're going to go to for this potential final map between Storm Esports and 30k. And once again, 30k are going to be choosing the map, and they'll be choosing to take us to Alterac Pass, as the members of Storm Esports have opted in for first pick priority. As always, for anyone wondering, when it comes to records between these two teams, 30k has a 1-2 record, 1 win, 2 losses. They played the map 3 times. Storm Esports have a 3-2 record, playing the map 5 times, winning it 3, losing it twice. A lot of same thing as I said, Grubby, for the last map. There's a lot of information for the side of Storm, or excuse me, for the side of 30k, as Storm Esports played this map a lot. So 30k, they could sit together and they could basically do highlight reels and watch back, okay, what was Storm Esports doing? What were they drafting? I mean, it's a thing. I know, like, back in high school, people, you know, they would be like reel days where like the high school football players would all like sit and they'd watch reels of the upcoming team they were going to play. And I'm sure that a lot of these teams have done this leading into this weekend games. I'm super excited. We're about to get into Alterac Pass, but Grubby, I want to get your thoughts on the upcoming map here, as it is fairly similar to Curse Hollow in size, and not objective, but just size and kind of draft in a sense.
Yeah, that's true. You need 2 solo laners, usually 2 people that are safe at clearing wave and then being able to escape if they get attacked. It does feel a bit smaller. The rotations are a little faster between the lanes. It's also more open, so in terms of, you know, the lanes and especially the area between the lanes. Plus, Cursed Hollow is absolutely claustrophobic in the narrow battle locations. You can't really get away from a D.Va explosion, can't get around it. Diablo can stun you anywhere, almost however you position. This map is a lot more open. And we get more priority on Anubarak here. You can use summons to stall the objective minions and solo cap the objective.
Just really quickly, you mentioned Anubrak. Storm Esports, they played him 10 times with a 50% record on that hero. So I think there will be the priority, as we've mentioned from week to week. Anubrak is really strong on this map because he can summon those beetles, which will then give the jailers something to do while Anubrak channels. So some cool tech that we could see from these teams, but also Justing a lot of global potential as the Falstad is already being banned away.
Yeah, we haven't seen any Dahaka yet, so I'll be curious to see if they end up picking that up. They do go for the Lucio ban against BBJ. We have seen on this map, so there's 3 big priority picks, so I would say that this is heavily favoring 30k. You have Hogger, Rhaegar, and Anubrak that we were talking about. So all 3 of them are kind of considered just S tier picks. The one thing that's a little bit weird, or that might make that not just as easy as 3 OP things that you want to take, is the Blaze. Blaze priority has been really high in this series, and Blaze has the ability to stall the objective almost permanently over the wall. And the Junkrat as well, actually. I forgot to even mention that. So you've got a lot of priority picks available. You've got, I guess, 5 big priority picks, and if you have that many, then it should actually favor Storm Esports if they're able to get either the Rhaegar or Nubarak, the totally blank for some reason. If they, well. Yeah, they have the Dahaka option. There's so many things available right now for Storm Esports that we do see the Nubarak and the Rhaegar picked up, so that makes sense. 2 of the priority picks being picked up. You have the Nubarak to spawn the Beetles. 30k, I will say, from the last time we saw them play this map, played the map better than any team I've seen yet. And that's even considering that we've seen that Simplicity match where they ended the game very quickly. I think that off of the back of the Anubarak. And 30k now having the Anubarak, being able to kind of cheese out the objective early, will be really crucial to them. Dino can be put on basically anything, and he's going to be soloing bosses as we've seen before on this map. So I'm really interested to see kind of what style 30k decides to play on this map, because the last time we saw it, it was really perfectly played macro on this map.
I was thinking back to our last draft from the Cursed Hollow, and the members of Storm Esports banned out Malthael in this spot right here after they had already picked the Rhaegar early. Is there any sort of argument to be made that Malthael could be the choice because of his healing reduction by 75% for the mitigation of ancestral healing? Because I was like, oh, I wonder if a team will maybe prioritize Ana, and then I was like, maybe that's the reason we saw it. I'm still kind of thinking a little bit about that, like, is he that impactful, Justing Malthael, to be able to warrant a ban against a Rhaegar from just that healing reduction talent?
It might also be the interaction between Last Rites and the Ancestral, since they're both kind of delayed. If you're able to burst someone down with that Last Rites, then the Ancestral never really gets the chance to go off. I'm thinking that's probably the thought process there, and that teams have been maybe experimenting in scrims with that as a counter to Rhaegar.
Because there's so much to consider here, and I'm sure Grubby, you've been considering a lot. I see you pontificating or pondering, excuse me. I'm curious to get your thoughts on what's happened so far in the draft.
I'm just listening to the Malthael musings. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's interesting. I usually don't think he brings enough to the table, so it's cool to have seen that ban before. Not going to be seeing him here in this draft, most likely. We're going to be getting a Zagara coming out. Is there going to be a swap out, or is it Ratso playing on Zagara? I think it will be, probably. So Zagara, we've seen it before from Mene and Simplicity on this map and some others. Pretty strong choice. Why not Greymane? Greymane would be pretty good into Anubarak, into Hager, into Hanzo. I feel like he would have fit here pretty well as well. Except Greymane probably needs tank for him. It's like a double split push kind of thing. Usually it's like Greymane plus Tyrael, Greymane plus Anubarak. Murden is going to play a different role here of rotation disruption. So maybe this is them saying, we want the guard to be able to be self-sufficient, not needing a tank to enable her.
It's looking like a good draft here, and I got to get Justin's thoughts, breakdown, analysis, everything, because the Zagara, honestly, it caught me quite off guard.
So I think the main purpose of the Zagara is to show that Anubarak is not the only hero in the game that can cheese out the objective by spawning beetles. Zagara also is able to spawn minions to tank the objective, and she gets the level 16 power spike with the percentage damage on all of her summons, which does quite a lot of damage, especially if you're playing around the objective. So Storm's comp, if they're able to play on the objective, looks incredibly scary. I don't think there's any way that 30k can contest the objective straight up by just kind of playing around the long stall game like you normally see, where both teams are just kind of fighting back and forth in the same area, almost like on Infernal Shrines. They have the Junkrat to set up traps, they have Blaze to just throw oil everywhere, they have the Zagara that is just going to be dropping babies from the sky, just you can't stand there. At level 16, the minions from Zagara are going to just shred anyone who tries to tank them, who tries to stand on the point. And Lauber on the Muradin, very, very scary as well. So if they're able to fight on the objective, I think Storm Esports is going to have a huge advantage. But we did see 30k the last time they played this map. The enemy had a similar composition, and they just dodged them every time they fought for the objective and just traded for boss. So I'm expecting to see 30k look to do that again.
Well, we'll see if 30k can replicate what they did in previous iterations of this map and take a victory here, because they want to close things out in a 3-1 way and move on through the upper bracket here in HeroesCCL. We got Bad Benny on the Anubrak, Yasu on the Rhaegar, Liam to play the Hogger, Azuab's on the Hanzo, and Dino on the Sylvanas. Over in the red, looking to take us to a map number 5 through Alterac Pass, we've got Storm Esports. BBJ on the Brightwing, Lauber on the Muradin, IBTings on the Junkrat, Rutso on the Zagara, and Dekwaza on the Blaze. They've had a lot of success with this Blaze in the past for Storm Esports with their run through the Gauntlet bracket. It was actually a critical factor for Dekwaza as he found so much really good jet propulsion value. A little bit of a Stormbolt into mid lane because there's going to be Dino and the rest putting some pressure on the bottom, but that's not going to actually find as much value as we typically see from a Sylvanas. But I got to give my thoughts here, Grubby. I'm thinking that 30k, they can close this out in a 3-1 as much as I want a map number 5. What do you think about these two drafts? I mean, it's just, I like what they picked up here, and Bad Benny does put pressure onto Rutso, but Lauber comes in. Sorry, I'm delaying out Grubby's thoughts as Bad Benny might die. No, he's fine. Anyway, sorry, Grubby, please. Any thoughts on this matchup?
Grubby, please. Give your
Grubby,
thoughts
please.
already. Stop being shy.
Yeah, Grubby, man.
By the way, did you know that this camp is called... Oh, damn it, I forgot. I just found out
Null
what
camp?
it's called.
The Null Camp?
Is it called the Null Camp?
Yeah, if you click on them, they're nulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Sorry.
I was hovering over it on the minimap during a game just now. I was like, oh, it's the Null Camp. It's not Hellbats.
No.
Go figure. Yeah, I've been calling them the Hellbats, you know. We had Praxis first,
but you're not. Yeah, you're not wrong with that though at all, because they do what they do what the Hellbats do on Braxis Holdout and Warhead Junction, everyone's favorite Storm League map.
Yeah, I love them. I do miss Volskaya. I'm glad that we get to see it here sometimes. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think they've got a fantastic draft and they're playing great. As far as I'm concerned, in terms of, let's say, the post-mortem of games, 30k is 3-0, where one throw made it a 2-1. If they win 3, I think they can win a 4th. Would be absolutely insane. If Storm took it back here and won this one and the next, would actually be insane. I don't think most people are expecting it anymore. Although, I put an eye on the Twitch chat and I see plenty of pink bettors as well. So, definitely split more down the middle than I would imagine. All right, let's let the players do the talking with their games. We see Junkrat coming out with the quest talent. He's preparing for a long game. Taste for explosion.
Going to be scaling up that damage on the frag launcher grenades. He's also got the burst damage on the 4th grenade. The last frag launcher grenade deals 120% bonus damage. So some cool tech with that one right there. And also will allow the... I'm assuming we'll also see endless nades because it's just a really good delay tool, as we were talking about delays around the objective. But bottom lane pressure will come through. And the thing that we didn't really talk much about is this is Lauber's Muradin. Lauber is known for a lot of tanks, but in my eyes, when we discuss Muradins in HeroesCCL, Lauber is at the top of my list. You get to level 13, you get that Bronzebeard Rage, and I've watched his streams and we've seen him in a lot of these games. Once he gets 13, he's get that Bronzebeard Rage for the extra damage and healing. So long as you land that Stormbolt, you can really shred into the enemies. But this first objective will be prioritized by 30k. Stalled for a second? No, it's actually Dino with another channel at the same time as a Nubrak. And overall 30k looking for a first objective, trying to summon the Stormpike Vandar generals, as the delay should come out from Storm Esports.
Yeah, not too fast. You've got actually Hanzo and Nubrak stopping Blaze here a little bit. Dekwaza keeps trying to interrupt, and he gets the pause, but he doesn't get the full channel yet. Just nibbling off little seconds here is 30k and was Bad Benny. I do remember what it was called, by the way. It's the Null Pack.
Null Pack, excuse me.
Null Pack. Yeah, there we go. I was trying to remember that. I was like, I'm gonna mention this on CCL, and people are gonna be wowed that I knew the term and then I forgot. No, just go figure. Just like when you get to the doctor, your body doesn't do that thing anymore. You can't show what you were on about. Anyway, a nice little start here by 30k, getting that siege camp Sorry, getting that objective channel down to 12 seconds already, stealing 18 seconds, even as people are macroing all over the map. Zagara in the center of the map, really just because this isn't the split push time. We wanted to start creating vision around the objective with those tumors so that they can really aggressively defend this objective. It's a fairly strong objective on the higher end of things. Not really something you let go in lieu of a little bit of push.
No. This the generals that are summoned by either Stormpike Vandar or Drekthar amplify your movement speed as well as your damage output so long as you're in the buff circle that is provided. And they also, the objective does not lose health over time like Tomb of the Spider Queen. It just continues to press into lanes, amplifying damage into structures as well as into enemy heroes. As I said, so long as you're inside that circle. Hazuabs is going to make an agility over the wall, but I actually like that because it positions him with that phenomenal bounce to get more stacks on a scatter arrow. He was at 15, now he's at 18 just from hitting Blaze. Yasu trying to back away. This Rhaegar is gonna be able to, oh my god, 52, 53 HP. Ibtings will have his Dirty Trickster triggered right there, 12-second cooldown. You can see when it comes back, he'll have that little icon underneath the Junkrat logo, and the channel is looking good for Storm Esports, but 10 Talontiers coming in closer for the side of 30k. Bounce in from Liam, he's going to be able to hit the Dequaza into the wall. Jet propulsion from Dequaza, trying to buy a little bit of time, make some room. It's not going to work out, and that is going to be another kill over to the side of 30k, who have got
0.
themselves 10. Oh my god, it's 0.9 seconds. Murden, Lauber goes in to try and set something up. Oh my god, the arrow from downtown is going to take down Rutso. Ibtings is going to trigger his taste for explosions, and Rhaegar will taste the explosions. That little dirty trickster is going to find a counter kill into Rhaegar.
What if I just ignore this dirty trickster grenades? It's probably not enough to kill me, right?
No.
Wrong.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Nice haunting wave damage coming in there from Dino. Oh, several more kills. Storm is bleeding. They're bleeding and they can't find the band-aids. 30k is just rampant on the damage here. They've got that objective channel. Stopping things at 0.9 seconds. Really amazing. Amazing that Blizzard actually showed the decimals too in that final second.
I like that.
They knew how important it is right then and there. And 30k gets that first objective, 6-1 in kills, more than a level of lead. Structurally 6 forwards, but not for long.
Look at the Bush Party just above our screen right now. They are selling the idea that Bad Benny is, oh, little old me, a Nubarak, so low, I got a third of my HP. But no, there is a Sylvanas and a Hogger waiting to try and step in. Dequaza, a little low here. Liam gets the bounce off of his loot stash. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, I'm just peeking around the map. We do have Rhaegar pushing into Zagara. He's trying to get Yasu, trying to get that wave pushed in. And here in the mid lane, a little arrow to narrowly go by Ivy, and it's going to be Bad Benny trying to amplify the siege through mid. A Riptire to zone back the enemy heroes and deal a little bit of damage. Great play from 30k. A fairly good defense, I have to say, from Storm Esports. Not losing too much. Maybe damage onto forts and a fort front gate here and there.
Yeah, that's true. Half a fort mid, half a fort here, and not really taking any down yet. So no passive XP or catapult generation, but still lots of damage done. Lots of XP in the bank for 30k. Trying to hit a pre-13 timing here is Storm in a 4v3. Pretty nice try, but they don't get paid off for their efforts. And the Null pack is already being taken down by Hogger as we speak. Nice timing on that. 30k is ramping on threat after threat.
Do you know what we didn't talk about for the last 3 levels, at least for the side of 30k?
Many things.
That is true. We didn't talk about Bloodlust. Like, we didn't talk about the fact that Bloodlust was the pickup.
Ooh,
Bloodlust was literally used in the last team fight, and it was so chaotic. But Bloodlust will be the grab, and it's all gas once again from the side of 30k. We saw this on Towers of Doom, where they just constantly brought the fight to the side of Storm Esports. And I won't say that's the same case here, but when it comes to the team fights, they have been insanely strong for the side of 30k. I mean, we're 6-1 in kills, 8 minutes in. We've nearly had a kill a minute for the side of 30k, almost a kill a minute in the game.
Yeah, pretty insane. It's not quite what we saw, I think, was it last week with Storm against Ivanance? It was like a 22 versus 11 kill game in a 22-minute game. Like 1.5 per. That's some great KPM, kills per minute. Still, not too bad here. Arrow coming in. You don't see Germany like that. Beautiful. On point by Hasu. Getting that one shot on Zagara together with Anubarak and everybody else. Nice deletion there. Too far out was Zagara. Ratso unable to stay safe in that 1v4. Even now Sylvanas is coming top to stop some of that split push pressure. By the strangest duo to ever pressure together. A Blaze and a Brightwing.
Jet Propulsion to back away. Wailing Arrow will come out, not connecting onto anyone. I do want to remind viewers at home, Dragon Arrow actually has 3 different stun values. If you do a short distance, it's 0.5, medium distance, 1.25, and long distance arrow, when it has that big kind of value around it, like the arrow gets bigger as it is traveling, is a 2-second stun. We rarely see the 2-second stun. 1.25 is more common than anything else. And I gotta say, right now, Hazuab's on this Hanzo. He's just nailing scatters, nailing the giant arrow, if you will, the big stunny arrow, as we also like to call it. Just right now, Hazuab's is kind of my MVP here. I'm just liking. I'm liking what we're seeing from him, and half a level, less than that, like an eighth of a level, as the bar jumps up quite quickly to 16 talent tier. These are always the hard moments to judge when to go into comms when a team is so far ahead. So maybe later on, maybe in around an objective phase, we look at 30k comms or something, Grubby?
Yeah, I think that's probably a prudent way to go about it. I doubt we'll hear like that much interesting stuff here, as it's a clear-cut situation where 30k is just going to kind of steamroll.
We expect that. We do expect that. But oh my god, Dequaza is going to get the phase shift in time. He's going to try and get onto the point. Unstoppable use. Bloodlust will be coming out. Yasuo's going to be trying to stay here. But this is a fantastic boss steal from the side of Storm. This is what they needed. They're down 16 talent here, but they're going for this fight. Lawbird, you're getting low there, guy. And he is going to fall. Spin trying to win from Liam. He's going to get into the backline. Blink heals from BBJ to back away. Rutso, IB Tings, and BBJ will back away. The boss does go over to the side of Storm Esports, so while they do get that steal, they lose 2 members, and I really don't know, is that a trade that you want? Because here's Sylvanas locking down a tower, and this is going to be a free fort. I guess fort trade.
Free. Hard fought. They had to give up boss. Always a hard thing to do. Impossible for most Storm League players. And once you start fighting for a boss, you must continue. Whatever new information comes into your plate. But yeah, they get the fort. Of course, fort for Storm as well via that boss. They have lost 3 forts already, but now finally have 1 fort down. Overall, though, Storm they're climbing down. They're climbing up from a very deep hole that they're in right now. 1-2 in score, match point. Nothing really going great in this game. We don't have like massive Devour Him All into Riptire combos. And really, just trying to sculpt a fight that would go well for them is something like a Blaze stun into a Maul, or vice versa, into a Riptire. We need those 2 big AoE stuns from Zagara and Blaze to work together. Murden, Lauber, he's doing what he can, but it's very much like into 1 or 2 targets the most, his CC. And then there's Bloodlust. Everyone's fast, everyone's attacking fast, everyone's life-stealing. There's gonna be, like, everyone becomes a threat during Bloodlust, and these are good heroes that 30k is drafted. So Murden stopping 1 or 2 is not enough. It's all down to the Zagara and the Blaze. But at this moment, you look at the map, you see like blue everywhere, everyone's split. Can't really just throw everything into a 5-on-5 team fight. 30k is not giving it to them. They're here to kill 3 walls. Maybe not even a keep, just 3 walls. That's gonna set them up real nice for the final stage of the game.
You want to jump into 30k comms and see how they're going to play the objective?
Let's do it.
In we go.
Two is bot.
Okay, nice try.
I should have done it right away.
We use
Okay, we use some ults.
Yeah.
I don't have trade now.
They're going. The both carriers are bots from them. I got half.
They're coming soon. I think we back out. I think it's gonna go on the walls.
Yeah, we're almost 20.
Bottom boss is up in 34.
Yeah, we do this first.
I do easy first, and then we get soak everywhere. We get 20. Good.
I kind of want to sit up. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Like I'm ungankable still.
Not sure if we should give
this time.
Though. Not sure if we should give the boss if they do.
No, I
put it to me, right?
Yeah, just be aware because they might hyper commit.
Yeah, Benny, I think Muradin is already.
Like they might send the whole team to you, but yeah.
Yeah. Won't end this time. Cool.
Can mid as well. You see
the
Omega forcing. Half a level for 20, and then it's a win.
I think they hard commit to. Careful guys.
We'll get.
We're not with you guys.
Can
if
you
they commit boss, we probably have to give, and we do keep or something.
Yeah. We get 2 keeps for it. Let's go actually. Let's go instantly.
Yeah, just go.
Do you want to back down the bottom one, Benny?
No, it doesn't do anything. No.
Actually, can't push it to right wing.
Yeah, well,
Going mid.
I can arrow right wing. If
Rega, I need a heal, guys.
Go.
They could be coming, guys. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
It's fine, it's fine. We get keeps. It's okay.
Nice try.
We can
get top as well?
go top right.
I have enough thing now.
Hey, focus mid first. Focus mid first.
Yeah, we got it, it's gone. They're here, actually. They're on boss as well. They're split.
I'm also.
Just
It's okay. It's okay.
Wait, is Benny out?
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I think defend bot for ASAP.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of
We have
like
20
it.
advantage for a while, and then
Right
after
wing
that, we
LC.
play for this.
Leaving those comms, we heard so much information about future planning, where they're going to be. I just like the overall future seeing that we're seeing that they're calling out. But BBJ,
Oh my.
I missed why he was there. Honestly, was he just split clearing and got
Yeah.
Wailinged or something? No, Wailing is on.
No. He just so it was him and one more. I forgot who clearing
Okay.
the remainder of boss. 30k pulled
Junkrat,
it out.
Junkrat, yeah, Junkrat, yeah.
And then he stayed with boss because he wants to pick up the XP when the boss slams, right?
Okay.
He's got a jump away point for like when he's getting ganked by 2 people, but 4
Okay.
is too much. Like they can track him. Hagen just pressed no control and just chased him. They killed the wave quickly. He just wanted to get that bonus XP, but I don't think it's a huge deal. With him alive or dead, it doesn't affect 30k's bottom line. They still have their 20. Storm still needs that XP. Well, now we're talking. I think that's the beginning of the end here.
Well, that was a really good just arrow into Shockwave. Zagar goes down in the bottom of our screen. There's a cocoon onto Muradin, and Laborius, he is not going to be able to play the game. BBJ tries to phase shift, but it's not going to be enough. The phase shift does take a little bit of time. It's a 2-second channel. Speaking of channels, we are going to be seeing the Stormpike Vandar jailers, or I guess the jailed unit, is going to be channeling. 50 seconds of channel time. Sorry, we can see in-game chats, and it was like, GG, wait, never mind. Oh, wait, we're still going. All right, so the game's not over just yet. Still have a nice back and forth between both these teams, potentially, because death timers are low. 1 keep has fallen so far, and as always, for anyone at home that might be new to Alterac Pass, might be joining us for Heroes of the Storm, we do want to kind of let you know how the map mechanic works, because this is unique. Alterac Pass is extremely unique in the units it summons for catapults, the Reaver minions, as well as how the core defends itself. The core actually has an area where it brawls, and it does have physical and spell armor by 20 per keep available, so up to 60 at 3 keeps. Now that there is 1 keep down, it's at 40%. The second keep that should fall will take it down to 20%. This is oftentimes where teams go to end when there's 2 keeps down. We'll have to see what happens here with 13-1 in kills, 22-20 in levels.
Yeah, 30k on any other map would have ended right there. Open keep, killing several members near enemy core, you go core. But people have learned to respect this boss core.
Yep.
Which also has a built-in hyper 10 times. Oh, I wanted to say mule. It has a built-in mule for repairs, but the fight has broken out. A really sweet arrow. No control hooker go in. I think that's actually his end. Liam doesn't have any control over that, as the name implies, once he clicks it. And, you know, usually I find it best to use 1v1, as he has been using it earlier on. You die when you go into 5 members. He was taking core shots. Still, core dropping low, 12k. It has no armor anymore. It's going real low. 30k is looking to end it right here on the core. 5,000 health, 4,000. This is match point. If they kill the... Oh, no. No! Oh, no! Oh! Oh!
Wait! What? Wait! I thought they threw! What? Wait! I thought...
It was almost Dragonshire 2.0, but there was still one more general pushing in with 3 archers.
Stormpike Vandar was like, no, don't worry, 30k, I got you covered, guys. And it's Stormpike Vandar to take map number 4, Alterac Pass. Justin, we gotta get you back in here so Grubby and I can take a second to collect ourselves.
Yeah, that was almost a repeat of the Dragonshire situation. Just barely getting the win. The objective coming in to finish it off. The bottom objective. The I don't know what are those called, Grubby? The name's passing me.
I call them generals.
They're generals. The guys, the orcs with
the raiders.
Oh yeah, raiders. That's what it is. Yeah. The final raider comes in, finishes off the core through bot, and and it was 30k just plays that map basically perfectly. They do it again with the macro. They never took a fight where they didn't have an advantage. On the first objective, they showed perfectly what I was describing in the previous series on this map, or the last time they played this map. They play on the objective, and it got to 0.9 seconds left, but 30k is willing to trade objective time for experience so that they get the level 10 advantage. And they get it at the perfect time. It couldn't have been better than that. It was literally 0.9 seconds remaining, 30k hits level 10, they force the engage, that's how they get the objective, because they know in a straight up fight they're most likely not going to win. They wait until the absolute last possible moment, the one kill they get just gives them all level 10s. And at this point, Storm just can't even contest anymore. They'd love to, it's only 1 second left. They want to get this objective so bad, but they can't anymore. It's level 10s versus no level 10s, no heroic abilities, so that's when they just turn it on. And 30k, it felt like they're always just hardly getting these small little advantages that snowball the game so hard, like that moment. Their composition in a straight 5v5, if teams were even to 10, should have no business winning the objective. And they need to find these kind of advantageous macro situations like they did in order to get it. And the second objective was kind of the same thing. They got they fight for the top boss with their 16 advantage. They're willing to give the top boss up when they realize that they're outnumbered. And then as soon as they have the numbers, they're still in a 16 advantage, so they immediately just go for the fight. They don't even care about the boss. The boss was just, if they could get it, they'd be happy, but they don't all make a mistake to kind of overextend for the boss. They immediately back up. They kill Storm Esports on top. They get the 2 picks, which allows them to just get the objective, the second objective, for free with their level 16s. And then the same thing basically happens on the third objective as well, where they get their level 20 advantage. They're willing to give the boss because they don't think that they're going to be level 20 for it. Just perfect macro decisions basically at every point. This was the one time that things got a little bit sketchy for 30k, is on the core in the final moments. But it feels like they're playing with these very tiny windows to get advantages, and they always make it work. With level 20 on the last objective, they get the pick onto Brightwing, bottom, which sets up the pick onto Junkrat, and they're always fighting for the objective with an advantage. Just really well played and well deserved by 30k. I'm glad that the core did fall for them because it felt like they were in control for 90% of that game.
Liam may have had no control, but it is definitely control from 30k, and we can actually get a little interview going right now. We've got HoTS on the line to discuss that matchup. HoTS, my friend, how are you feeling after that map number 4 Alterac pass?
Thrilled. I'm very happy that we did it. Feels good. You know, Storm is one of our hardest opponents, and I actually think we played very well today. So yeah, pretty happy.
I have to ask before I throw over to Justin and Grubby for some questions on, after Dragonshire, to be blunt, after that blunder on Dragonshire, after you all die on Alterac Pass, were you like, oh, we've got this, the bottom lane general's coming through, or were you starting to get a little nervous when you all wiped on core just now?
I personally thought we threw again, but Dino kept saying we win because the Horseman, he saw, the bottom general was still coming, right?
Yeah.
And the core had like 2k HP or something, and it hits very hard. So Dino kept saying, it's fine, it will die. I personally thought like, oh no, not again. Can't happen twice in the best of 5. But yeah.
Okay, all right. It was, I had to ask you about that because it was quite a crazy moment. But Justin, any questions for HoTS?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations. You guys look super strong, very dominant. How do you prepare for Storm Esports after getting to see them play so many games in the Gauntlet? And how much of an advantage do you think that is to see them play all of their games and kind of know most likely what they're going to be looking to draft and how they play?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of credit to Benny. He took over drafting and he put a lot of thought into it. And I think we got very good drafts today. Also something that we are very comfortable playing with. So that definitely worked out. And of course it helps, you know, Storm had to show a lot of games because every time they either win or lose, right? They had to win all of it, so they have to show what they got. And yeah, we analyzed their drafts, and I think, I mean, we made the decision not to ban Zarya, right? For example, which a lot of teams are banning, and Rutsu is extremely strong on it. But we had some ideas how to play against it, so yeah, I think we were well prepared actually.
You definitely looked really well prepared today, especially after that Towers Doom game. It was like 15-0 in kills. Really good control overall in the series and on that map. But Grubby, of course, any questions from you for HoTS?
Hazu, let's ask a question about you personally and in terms of your Hanzo play. Would you say that you've got like days where you just gel with Hanzo on days where it's just not working, where playing it once just gets you to stop? Because he's kind of a high ceiling hero.
Yeah, it definitely can happen, right? Especially with the arrows. Like sometimes you hit very, very good ones. Sometimes they fly all the way through the map over and over again. But at the end of the day, I think you have to keep trying, because if you don't shoot your arrows, then you can't hit, right? So you keep trying. Eventually, if it lines up, you will hit a good one. And it's also a little bit on how your team plays around it. Like, what kind of vision do you have? Do they funnel them into a certain position? And yeah, like today, I certainly felt pretty good on Hanzo. Sure, I missed some arrows,
so
but I
good.
also hit some
Yeah,
good
seriously.
ones. But yeah.
You hit some fantastic scatter damage as well.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. And I wanted to say, like on Alterac, the level 4 W helps you so much to do the boss. There's so much tempo behind the Hanzo pick, and it just accelerates the way you can play the map. So yeah, it was a good pick today, and I think we played well around it as well.
I gotta say this, Hazobs, I'll be going back into the replay file and just hitting camera lock on you to learn how to do a little bit better on my scatter arrows, because like you seriously, like there was like one point where you're at like 10, and by the end of an objective phase you were done with the scatter. So it's just really well played, extremely good games from you. And before I let you run out of here so you can enjoy, watching people play for the rest of the day, any shout outs that you'd like to give, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, I mean, this was just the first step, right? We have more to do. There's more games to come. So, like, sure, we are happy, but we have our eyes on the whole tournament. We want to be first place. Shout out to my teammates for playing very well. I said it at the beginning. I think very good communication. Everyone was on point, and thanks for having us. And shout out to Twitch chat, of course. How dare I forgetting the most valuable member of the community? But yeah, thanks for having us, guys. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us, Hazobs. Good luck in your future practice for whomever you're going to be playing tomorrow after we see Simplicity versus Wildheart. And you have a great day, as well as congratulations once again on your victory versus Storm.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining. Thanks. Really, really cool stuff. We got to hear a little bit from Hazobs. And Grubby, that was actually a really good question, because I feel like, yes, Hanzo is extremely a high ceiling character, and it's like when you're winning, like, oh, you feel like you're winning, but when you can't land those big fat scatters or the big stuns onto the enemy, it's like, okay, I feel like I can't do anything. But that interview aside, we are getting ready for our next best of 5. You just saw the ticker on the bottom of the screen swap over to Simplicity versus Wildheart. We are still in our upper portion of the double elimination bracket, as Storm Esports has fallen into the lower portion. So Storm Esports, they're kind of on tournament life, and we'll figure out what happens with that tomorrow. When we get back from a break, we're going to be finding out what's going to happen with Simplicity versus Wildheart. In this break, I want you to use 2 quick commands. We have, of course, our prize pool, ! Prize pool. For every 1,000 mark on the way to 15,000, Grubby will drop a little hint as to what sort of parody song he has created for us, and he will be bringing that live on HeroesCCL. It'll be a song about Illidan to the tune of Moana's You're Welcome, but we still don't know what's going to happen at 13K. We still don't know what's going to happen at 14K. And of course, at 15, that is when Grubby will sing. So ! Prize pool in chat to unlock that reward. And last but not least, we have an award show for HeroesCCL Season 3. On January 29th, it will be taking place. And the award nominations have already been had. So what you can do by hitting ! Awards in chat, you can get yourself over to the voting. You don't need to go research the videos or anything like that. All of the YouTube links are in that. So if you want to check out what the reference of I'm killing them all means, you can click that YouTube link and it'll take you right over to that moment. But we're going to take a short little break. In this break, we've got Kyle Ferguson with an awesome interview with Mene from Simplicity to talk about his upcoming matchup. Don't go anywhere. This is HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom.